Now, didn't want to hold up your guys' time if
You are on at 8:30. We got you till 9 o'clock. Okay, it's 8:10. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you, Lord, this morning. Your humble servants, Father, on earth and in county government, Lord, guide our hearts, our minds, and our mouths today so that we can do your will in a way that honors you and honors the people of it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm always excited about a full room, and if you're bringing the heat, that's okay. That's what we're here for. Nobody signed up on this job so they wouldn't get chewed on a little, and we're welcome to hear whatever you have to say for county personnel or public comment, and the floor is yours. Would you introduce yourself if you speak, and if you have a lot to say, you might just come up and take this chair. Hey, Dal.
For everybody's benefit, I'm Dallas Johnson, the head of the IT department here. I understand that you guys are considering eliminating some positions to save costs for the county. And I don't know if my department is one that you're looking at in that regard, but I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Okay.
I believe that it is extremely important to have two people in the IT department, largely for maintaining continuity. This year, my father's had some pretty severe health problems. I've had to take a lot of time off. And with Donnie here running the department in my absence, I was able to concentrate on my father's health and not have to worry about what was happening here. Also, with just one person in the department, if there is an emergency, it wouldn't be able to be responded to if I did have to be absent for any reason. And having employee also lets me delegate a lot of the more time consuming tasks that are important, but it's just more efficient to be able to split up. For example, patching and updating our county computers. That is quite time consuming, and that's something I'm able to push off onto him and focus on higher level stuff. I do realize my predecessor, Sandy, she ran the department by herself for quite a long time before my position was created. And the complexity of IT has exploded while she was here. Cybersecurity is a very big concern. And just having somebody always here who can respond to emergencies and help our employees is extremely important. That was all I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
How's your dad now?
He's still struggling, but we're making the best of it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Leland.
Commissioners. I'm cool. I'm Leland Hanson. I'm a Brown County native. And I've worked in Brown County. I worked in Brown County for over 50 years before I retired. As a HIFT member, I'm against any cuts to the HIPAA funding. Do the Brown County Commissioners have a vision or a plan to try to provide affordable housing in Brown County? The 2023 community survey for Brown County was released in February of 2024. Of the 5 important issues for the county to address over the next 5 years, and those are attracting new industry, affordable housing, quality schools, crime prevention, and job opportunities. HIFID is involved in 3 of those activities, and that's the attracting new industry, affordable housing, and job opportunities. Of the 3 important factors in retaining residents and attracting new residents, and those were quality schools, job opportunities, and availability of a variety of types of housing, HIFID is involved with 2 of those, and that's the job opportunities and availability of a variety of types of housing. HIFID is also working with the city of Hiawatha on a housing project. We helped pay for the architectural drawings for the proposed project to give the project a better chance of receiving MIH grant, as well as an independent housing survey required by grant eligibility and the developer. By attracting new industry, this would provide more job opportunities, but more employees would then need affordable housing. All these things HIFID is trying to do for the betterment of Brown County. And if there's any else from the board that would like to correct anything I missaid, anyway. thank
You're
you
on the
for your
board.
time.
How long you been on the board?
Several years,
Okay,
second time around.
okay.
Commissioners, Kyle Olson. I am a financial advisor at Thrivent. I'm also the HEFID chairman right now. And I just wanted to speak with you briefly about, the gravity of what you are doing. And thank you for all that you do for the county. We have limited resources. I understand that. I am a teach a man to fish type of guy. And HEFID, the reason I serve on HEFID is because of that proverb. So what HEFID does is, we can go into the macroeconomics of what's happening in rural America and how hard it is, and you're having to raise taxes, and I understand that, and that is very painful. HEFID is not going to keep us from having to raise taxes from time to time, but what we do is we help people get to Brown County. We support them in their business endeavors, and we resource them. So right now, we are your number 1 partners when it comes to needing a partnership. You all can't do everything. I know that you do a lot, but HEFID can administer some of the programs and projects that you do have. One of them being the Rural Opportunity Zone, and so right now in Brown County, we do the ROS program. There are 4 recipients in Brown County. Nemaha County has 30. The county pays for that right now. It costs $3,000 per participant. And what that does is it brings people to Brown County who have lived in an urban area and want to come back to a rural lifestyle. My wife and I benefited from that program, and it wasn't the reason we came to Brown County, but as a Donovan County native, my wife is a Nemaha County native, we wanted to be closer to family, and HEFID helped us establish the business here. We were looking at Holton and Marysville, in addition to Hiawatha, when we left Manhattan after living there for 15 years. The reason we came here, we had some great resources, not only family, but HEFID helped us start our businesses. Neither one of us were self-employed. We both worked for other firms, and they got us in touch with small business at Washburn, as well as a small business consultant that lives in Wapena. HEFID did all of that. And so I ask that you reconsider any cuts to the HEFID budget, just because it's so vital. And I really feel like the people of Brown County benefit. And if we want to stop the trend of having to raise taxes because economically we're losing steam to other counties, I really feel like HEFID can help us in that endeavor. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Michaela Moore, Director of HEPID, and I'm gonna keep it real short today. I don't wanna, I think we've talked about the projects we've had and the impact we're making before, and I think we've made that clear. So I really want to say just one thing today, and it is when you're looking at the budget and at the line items for next year, I hope when you're looking at economic development that you're not just looking at it as another expense, another check to write next year, and that when you see economic development on that spreadsheet, you recognize that it's the only item on your spreadsheet that's going to be able to positively impact the tax base. Without an entity focused on growing Brown County, focused on bringing more business, cultivating an environment, a place that new businesses can come and open to bring more employees to this county, meaning there's going to be more entities being taxed, more people paying taxes. As businesses grow, you're going to need more positions and leadership positions, which is going to increase your tax base. Economic development is the only line item you have that can directly increase your tax base. I was at the meeting Monday. I know there are very strong opinions of raising taxes. Like Kyle said, it's not going to alleviate the problem that we're facing now and the decision you have now of raising taxes or how much or whether to. But what it can do is, wouldn't it be nice to look at how you can increase your tax base in other ways than just raising taxes? And focusing on economic development is one way that you can do that. We're not asking for a handout. Really what we're asking is for you guys to be a willing partner with us, to support us, to work with us so that we can focus on growing the economy in our communities and countywide. So that's it.
Can you share? We spoke on the phone last.
We did.
So can you share some of the successes that HEFID's had and maybe just one of my questions about all this stuff was trying to get up to speed. And then trying to see it is a line item on the budget. When we look at it, it's economic development. We don't know much about economic development. It just says we pay this much this year and a half for this many years. So there's on this side of the desk and on that side of the desk, sometimes there's a gap in information and communication. And you know, honestly, we don't know what we don't know, or I don't know what I don't. Help me with some successes, with maybe some near misses, with some just complete failures. Tell me what HEFID's done, and tell me what the future looks like. And then the other thing, so there's a level of passion in this room because every time we mention it, people come in. So what I need is confirmation that if we green light this thing, is that same level of passion, is it going to exist? You know, to try and actually drive economic development, or once the check's signed, you know, what happens? Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can talk about, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I'll talk about some of the
7 minutes.
some of the bigger items. So I won't go back all 40 years, but I will just highlight some of the notable ones in the more recent years. One of them is Little Hands. So HEFID donated free land so that a child care facility could be developed. So that, of course, has always been an issue with getting employers to recruit employees to the area, as they want to feel comfortable that there's a place for their children to go for daycare.
How'd you get that land?
Oh, gosh, that's a question probably for the board, because that was before my time.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't have the answer to that, but donating that land so that that project could occur. So that is one. We were very integral in recruiting 2 of our larger businesses to Hiawatha. Those businesses are what's known today as ADM, was Crosswind Pet Industries, as well as Hemisphere out by Walmart. In addition to that, I think, Leland has mentioned the housing project that we were working on. We started this 4 years ago. We invited developers here to educate us on the process, the city on the process, how to go forward with securing a developer, applying for grant funds so that we could get a development going. We've funded, as Leland mentioned, some of the upfront costs on that for housing study, for actually 2 housing studies, and then for architecture fees. We're continuing to work with the developer behind the scenes to connect him to employers for potential partnerships in this project as well. Grants are a big thing, so we are the connection to Kansas Department of Commerce for all things economic development. So the state needs a partner for grants. They're not just giving grants to businesses. They want to give it to one entity. So we serve as that entity and get educated on every grant that they offer, communicate that to the public in Brown County.
Do you write grants?
I don't write them.
You don't write?
No.
Okay.
But if there's anybody who wants to apply, we walk them through that process, submit the application on their behalf, money comes to us, and then we distribute it to the awardees. So we've had in the last, I think it's been the last 3 years, about $70,000 in grant money that has come in to organizations in our county that we have provided. We've helped a business start from that as well, that received a tourism grant. We've created our own grants. So I've talked about this one before, but when COVID hit and businesses shut down, and they were not able to have revenue coming in, we developed a COVID grant that had a fund of $42,000. And we essentially turned around in less than a week's time and awarded 42 businesses each $1,000 to kind of bridge the gap until the federal money became available to them. We have 2 smaller grants that we offer. One is a facade grant to help businesses improve the exteriors of their building. Another one helps recruit trades, individuals to our county to work. The RAWs, as Kyle mentioned, is something we support and we fund fully for the county to help recruit people to the county and then encourage them, of course, to stay in the county as they need to remain residents in order to continue receiving that benefit. Those are some big ones. If anybody else has any back there that I've left out, I'm doing this from memory. I didn't bring a cheat sheet in today, so.
I'm Allison Girl, I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and we'll have it. So, one of the things that has also helped us with is the recruitment and retention of positions in the community, and so Kansas Bridging Program is a program that helps fund positions going through schooling and through residency, and then the community has to come up with either the hospital or the community has to come up with matching funds to help support that program. So that they did that for us. 3 years ago, to help sponsor the position, that is so that. So,
Is that program?
Kind of the same recruitment and retention of folks in the community, but hopefully they front.
Is that ongoing? I mean, does that happen right now? Are you looking for doctors in this program?
Yeah, we are looking for doctors active.
Okay.
Right now. So I don't have anyone right now that's in that program, so they're not all necessarily in that. Maybe there's kind of some specific things that go along with that particular program, but it is a thing.
So are you on the board then? I didn't catch on. Okay, so how long have you been at the hospital? Just 11 years. All right. So when you came to Hiawatha, did you start, you said CFO or CEO? COO, I'm sorry, I got it right. Wrong. Man, okay. Okay, so then you came, how long before you reached out to HEFID? Since you started at Amarillo, how many, was it days, weeks, months, years before you reached out to them?
Yeah, so from day one, in my role with the hospital, we've been working with that big on recruitment and retention and bringing people to. So,
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Yeah, any questions?
Occurs to me that the city doesn't donate to you, is that true?
No, that's incorrect. We've mentioned that every year we do receive funding from the city, or we have.
Last time I looked at the budget, they looked like a couple of years ago, they had 12,000 on there, and then last couple of years, they didn't have any on there, so.
we've received 25 the last year for sure. I can't remember what the amount was before that, but well, this year, I guess, 2025. And then I don't believe they finalized it for next year yet.
What can happen on our end and on your end to, I guess, to bridge the communication? And you mentioned you got meetings second Tuesdays, I think that's what I had. written
Second
down.
Thursday.
Second Thursday, there it
Mhm.
is, at 8 in the Fisher Center.
Mhm,
There's an email, which we're gonna get me on the email.
mhm.
How much input or influence can the county commission have on HEFID? I mean, just basically, what does, I guess, does the county's taxpayer donation, not donation, but expense, does that buy us any sort of influence whatsoever? I mean, can we come in and speak and then are we just, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, we've
Just-
had, we
Okay.
have had a standing invitation for commissioners to come to our meetings. Commissioner Lempool has come to our meetings in the
Said-
past. And I think has been well informed on
Okay.
what we're doing, and we'd love for anybody on the commission who wants to do that, to do so.
And with the I guess with me being a new commissioner, we just didn't get the email swapped around. So I haven't seen anything. So I guess I look forward to reading it and I guess kind of getting caught up. But we are at 8:30. You've done very well. Every question I had, and Bill, did you have any more questions? So the city of Hiawatha does fund you.
Yes, they have.
Do fund you,
In
and the
the
city of
past, yes.
Hiawatha partnered with you on some other things that isn't like direct HEFID funding, but there's projects that the city is. doing.
Correct. We work really closely with them, yes.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Anybody else? I mean,
I'd just like to add, I'm sure if owner of Wildly Pool, that economic development doesn't happen overnight.
sure,
It takes time. I grew up in Fall City, Nebraska. I'm the first owner of Wildly Pool, who's been here some years, to live in Brown County.
okay,
The reason I chose that is to help Brown County grow. We invest in our factory, we invest in our bankers. We could put new machinery anywhere as we're buying it. There's open buildings in Fall City, there's open buildings other places. We're trying to do it here, let it grow. If you do not have this department, economic development will be done. Fall City sat for the 10-year value thing, out of a $5 billion investment, looking at building better.
sure.
It takes time to build and get trust me. City, state, county, bring business in. And if we don't have business coming in, we will be done as a community. We will only be farmers, whatever small business are still here, because the manufacturers won't stay around. And the manufacturers and the hospital are good employers in town. And we need that development to keep growing. I need a bigger workforce. You bring another factory in, more people from the town, I get their workforce. So.
Hey, Lee. We're over time. Can I take a couple minutes and ask him a question? Is that all right? Okay, all right. Drew? Is that right? So from our end, when you get your property tax statement in the mail for Wildy Tool,
Yeah,
tell me your reaction.
I'm not happy, but I told my last year my property taxes went up, but here's my thing. I ran 5 factories, 5 different states.
Okay.
There's always places to find cuts and budgets, and I don't have your budget. I've cut hundreds of thousands of dollars from every place I went. But what I think, okay, it's like economic development can help your tax base go up.
All right.
So. From what I know, one of these others correct me. You guys are the only people that pay 100% premium of healthcare for employees. I know that's something you guys are talking about. We finally had a change. $100,000 increase after $100,000. There's things that have to give. I don't think economic development is what you want to give to get that kind of burden, and that's fine.
All right, you understand the rub then. That's where we are, because everything's important and we know it is.
Yeah.
We just, something has to give sometime, and watching our property taxes continue to increase. If we don't cut something sometime, you know, what is it gonna look like in a few years? I mean, what do your employees say about their property taxes? Are you privy to any of those conversations?
I mean, obviously, no one wants their property taxes to go up, but they're only gonna go up if business leaves, so.
Yeah, that's
And I mean, I can tell you, if I would invest in my factory and we don't have these programs that come helping us with grants, I will invest somewhere else.
Do you
I have to make money as a business
Do
too.
you use that NRP program, that neighborhood revitalization? If you wanted to invest in your factory, build something, I mean.
We have not,
You haven't.
but I've only been an owner for 4 years, but yeah.
Okay, all right,
But
that's,
I know that she sent me grants to the state, she said, I can't remember that guy's name, Bernie something.
that comes from the state, that comes to each of Wheeler's manufacturing grants. There's not a lot of manufacturing grants anymore. It used to be a lot bigger deal 50 years ago.
Okay, and what was your last name again?
Froeschl. FROESCHL.
All right, thank you.
Real quick, Mr. Hyman.
Yeah.
I look around here and I know HIDC doesn't have any representatives here. I did call them on Friday. And the reason they don't have anybody here is because they're meeting with architects and some construction people in Lawrence for the housing project that they are working on in Portland. So HIDC would be the equivalent of Method for
Sure.
the Portland area.
Okay, good info. All right, I think we are out of time, but thank you very much. Did you have something?
Can you tell me what your budget is? What your total budget is?
For 2025, I think you're looking around 70. That's one,
Yeah, I think the post.
yeah.
It'd be 70,000 with the county donation, city donation, the membership fees.
Good question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And if you want to stay, of course, we'll get through the meeting here. If we have gaps between appointments here, we can get you back. Lee, would you want to come on up? I'm sorry, it's 8:35. Lee Weimer, and he's referencing 502.
I just want to give you more money. So,
You did.
odd guy.
All right. What's on your mind?
I'm trying to get you guys to put 502 Hampson on the tax roll where I can hopefully get it bought.
Okay.
The city of Morrill owes or has a $8,000 bill against it for demolition of that church. And if I can get it on the tax roll or whatever you guys got to do to move forward, I'd like to build a building there where I can extract my honey and all this, because I'd like to get up to 30 to 50 beehives.
Okay.
So want to retire, and that's what I want to do. So
So what's the hang up here? What's happening?
it's
What-
not on they won't put it on, they haven't put it on the
Tax sale?
tax sale. That's what the word is, yeah.
Okay.
So how do I tried to call the guy individually to get it on the tax sale or sell it to me, then come in here and pay it. And he won't return my calls, he won't answer my letters or anything. So I thought maybe you guys can do something. Because the way I understand it, it's been 3 years. It's over 3 years past due, so. If you can get it on the tax sale, I'll pay 15,000 for it. I mean. I'd like to get it bought.
Okay.
And. I don't know how you guys do this, but.
You want to explain how we do it?
It's gotta be in 3 years in the week when I'm looking here, I'm trying to.
It looks like you paid, someone paid 2020. Taxes and payments for you.
So
Somebody paid 24. Somebody's paying the tax on it. I don't know if it has.
Yeah, but there's 3 years before that they hadn't paid. The last I heard that it's eligible to be up for sale. They just haven't put it on there yet.
I don't know if it's any property that's on our list now. I mean, we are presently working on it.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Uh,
it's not on the current tax sale list. Okay.
Guess that will be a question to forward to Kevin, that's why it would not. There's a special reason, or if it's because the city has a lien against it. I don't know, the city has $8,000 on there, I don't know if that changes anything or not, why it's not on there. I can't answer that part of it.
I know, but. I'll pay the 8,000, I don't care, it's right next to my property, I just. Don't have the room to. Put a 30 by 40 building on my property.
So the best answer we can probably give you is
Yes.
we need to talk to our county attorney.
Yeah.
He handles the tax sale.
Right,
And we'll ask but it sounds like this is one of those, looks like this one of those properties where they pay every few years just to sort of start the clock over.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure how to game the property tax system, but there's ways to do it and people figure it out. So we'll ask him. We've got we might actually, I'll use this if is Michelle, she's coming in. We're actually talking to somebody who specializes in this, an attorney
Okay.
from the Wichita area. I might just use this as an example. And
9:30.
yeah, she's at 9:30. Let's just see what she says. I mean, she would know Kansas law better than any of us for sure.
right.
We just ask, because I don't know what the process is. I don't know how.
Well, I just, they said, well, just keep putting the mowing on there. Cause the city mows it to keep
Uh-huh.
it down.
Uh-huh.
And they said, well, then just charge him. Well, he ain't gonna pay it. I mean,
No,
he ain't gonna pay it. So why charge the city don't care if I pay, if I mow it for nothing, but I just don't wanna. Have a $20,000 piece of property that, gonna cost me more money,
I understand.
and they know I'm mowing it for nothing. So, it's like,
That church has been closed down for quite a few years too.
yeah, we tore it down, 6 years ago or something?
So somebody bought it from the church? I mean.
No, the guy owns it. The guy who owns the property taxes, the city, they just got so derelict that they said, forget it, we're knocking it down.
Yeah.
So that's what they did.
So back sometime when the church closed, he evidently bought it from the.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's been on the tax sale, then they'll pay it a little bit and it's just been an eyesore and they finally got rid of it. I live right next door to it. I mean, it's a nice little vacant lot, but
Live on the west.
I live on the, west side of the two-story brick house.
Well, if you don't mind, would it be all right if I ask
Yeah.
this lady that's coming in this meeting, just ask her about it, see what we can do? Because we may not be able to, we may be able to do something, or we may not be able to do anything. I don't know. But is that all right if I use
Yes,
this as
that's
an
fine.
example?
I
Okay,
didn't think I was gonna get an answer today.
Okay.
But
okay, all right.
I'm just, if I could just move forward, with it, so,
So the back property taxes in Brown County is an issue, and I mean, we are,
yeah.
all we can do is nudge and encourage. I mean, really here, and we're trying to, we're trying to push this along because it hadn't happened in quite a while. And we're reaching out to this other company. Hopefully, we don't get in this pickle again here. Let's get, instead of 6 years between these sales, let's try and get it to 2 years or
Yeah.
whatever, and try to get things happening. And I'll ask some questions and we'll see what we can find out.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right, well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. You all have a great.
Got one more question for you. What's going on the other end of the street with that other house up before you? Is that landowner cleaning that up or?
On Hanson,
Yeah.
Randy Lawson, yes. Yeah, they're looking for, waiting for a dump truck to haul that all to Brown County.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Question. It's changing.
yeah, won't you, call the congressman, or you guys got more pull, I have 246, since they're gonna redo it, go clear to Fall
So
City.
with your City of Morrill shirt,
Yeah, I work for them.
you work for the city. What do you do for the city?
I'm their city superintendent. I do water, sewer, electrical,
Okay,
I do it all.
okay.
You got a complaint with your neighbor, they call me.
Uh,
I kid you not.
Okay, all right, all right.
I know where you guys go through.
And you want us to call the state at 246 all the way to 73?
It says 73, yeah.
We'll get right on it.
I mean, if they're gonna put that much money on 246, widen it 8 foot, gee, man.
And then just did, one of just dead ends and more.
Oh, that's what they told me. They're widening that 8 foot. Yeah, too many accidents.
Bridge then and all that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I go out there every 3 months, relocate my water line. So, yeah, that's what they told me, but 20, 30, I think it's 32, something like that, when they start widening that. We'll see.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming in. All right, it's 8:43. Our next appointment is at 9 o'clock. Is there anybody else that didn't get to speak, public comment that wants to? Phil, do you want to say something? Or are you just here to observe?
I just. 5 years ago, I bought it done. And I fixed it up. And my taxes, I bought it $100 a year.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more than. I fixed the house up. And you probably heard all this already, but anyway. But I figured, well, yeah, I would move the house, I put a new roof on it, and painted it and all that, and improved the house overall. And I figured, well, this is probably, should be around $1,000 a year. We did. And then this year, they decided to, I needed to pay an extra 600. Now they're taking me back to what they, $1,800 a year. Well, I can see that you guys need to, revenue also, well, what do we get on it? Everybody's begging, have everything going up, and taxpayers, just.
No, and it's fine and it's fair because I always just use the fast food, you used to go get fast food and you could eat for $8. Well, those days are done. Now it's 12 or 15. And yeah, we're in an environment where everything just costs more, including everything that this county courthouse and all we do, it all just costs more and it's just a struggle, but I appreciate you coming in and saying,
I will say, most of the increase, which city important,
really,
yeah, they gave them. The both of that, $600.
the city is. See, we're doing our part. I mean, we raised ours pretty significantly.
Your name.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, all right. Okay, anything else? Thank you for coming in. All right. Well, let's move on to we'll go down our agenda. First is minutes of the August 29th special.
It's John.
Did I miss something?
Well, John's been, yeah, so
if
John's out there.
I'm sorry.
I think we'll-
5 minutes. Okay. All right, John, sorry I made you wait. Honestly, I just forgot you were out.
5 minutes new or you go into the executive session for 5 minutes for non-elected personnel or confidentiality.
Protect the privacy of the individual.
It's gonna be about,
Be about
eventually about duties.
Duties, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I second it. It's been moved and seconded to go in executive session for 5 minutes with the 3 commissioners and the county clerk. Present
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah.
and
John.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Be for 5 minutes. We'll come back about
Okay, we're out of executive session, back into regular with no binding action taken. We have a 9 o'clock. Sheriff Merchant, do you have anything?
I didn't need anything. I've got a question right now. And I want to make sure Bill was alive after. I survived. Yeah.
I don't have any questions for you. Do you? Good.
How'd it get long?
Interesting. I guess I quit too early.
Anytime you got more ride.
Bill rode with the deputy. He, yeah, right?
Right.
Cruise the county looking for trouble. If there's a problem, Bill will solve. All right.
Bill for us on that. It was busy for more than that.
Okay.
Well, good. All right.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right, let's go to so I'm not missing anything. We can go to the minutes. Okay, the item on our agenda, number 1, minutes from August 29th special meeting. That was last Friday. We were here a long time.
Move to approve 8/29/2025 special meeting minutes.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Next is the minutes from the August 29th evening meeting. All right, is there any additions or corrections or a motion to approve?
I move we approve the 8/29/2025 minutes.
All right, is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, rolling on. The next on our list is the BIA acquisition application. Oh, you're in there. That's it. Bless you. I think we got an email from Kevin about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, the letter can be similar to past letters. Just, so gentlemen, what do you think about this? Anybody have any comment? I mean, if I understand this right, and I'll go out on a limb, my understanding is taking land from start putting it into a trust. And if it's in a trust, then it's no longer eligible for property tax. And so it looks like here this has happened before and kind of have an example from 01, I believe, and quite a while ago. But we do have a chance to reply. What's your, I guess, what's the strategy here?
It'd be interesting if thought that guy kind of, just want to do that, so he didn't have to pay taxes, if he bought it with his own money. If he'd be able to sell it, if it's in the trust. So that man gets kind of tied up, and it's, the guys are in charge of it, or at one time, can't really sell it till the donation never gets sold. So
Well, okay.
it's, I wouldn't be. Think that it's a, usually.
So is there a timeline on this? Do we know? 30 days. Is this the latest, this example from May? It's the last time it's ever been done. Well, I guess, that is an issue in Brown County where we continually erode. I mean, it says right here in this letter, it erodes the tax base. I would be for sending a letter similar to this. And it says if our appraiser, I mean, we can sign it or the appraiser can sign it.
Correct.
Sure. Well, I would make a motion that we, I mean, and this is procedural, I mean, this is just our input, correct? They did it anyway, yeah. Well, it's a real concern and a lot of the same services. Have to provide the same level of services with less and less. People to distribute it among. So I would make a motion that we compose a letter, essentially looks very similar to what we have here. And then send it to where it needs to go, if that. Is that all right? I guess you sent it to the governor. We sent it to the governor. Oh, it goes to the BIA. Okay, it goes to the BIA. I'm sorry, I was looking. So I would make that in the form of a motion, if that's clear enough. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. It's 1 minute till 9 o'clock. We got this property use agreement is the next item on our agenda. And that's for the election. So in that instance, does the election office pay the $25 per hour? They can, and that's normal, or that'd be okay. Is it a budget buster? I mean, happy to do that. Okay. Okay, well, I would make a motion to approve the courthouse on October 25th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for Saturday early voting. Is there a second?
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. All right, 9 o'clock. DJ. I would move. Do you have anything to talk to us about just normally, or would it be all right, just go in executive session? In executive? Okay, all right. Well, I would make them up. What do you think? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes?
You have to say, so maybe go with 10, 15 minutes, so short and short.
Okay. Okay, let's do it. We're gonna, let's do it for 10 minutes. Is that all right? But I make a motion to go in executive session for non-elected personnel, privacy of the our duties, I guess. And with the 3 commissioners, with the county clerk and the county treasurer present. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Okay, motion carried. We'll come back at 9:12. we're out of the executive session, back into regular with no binding action taken. However, we're going to go back into executive session for another 10 minutes to continue the discussion on non-elected personnel for private or not private, basically duties again, with the three commissioners, county treasurer, and the county clerk president. So I would make a motion, we go back in for 10 minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Another 10 minutes. All right, we're back in, excuse me. We're back in, we're out of executive, back in regular session, and there was no binding action taken. So. Yeah, Donnie? Oh, okay, never mind. I had a question for who was on, but now we know. Okay. The next, we have a 9:30 with Michelle Brindwall. We have information here in front of us. Item number 5, that's a letter from Austin Parker. At the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, maybe, I said I'd call him and have him put something down on paper. He sent us a contract here. I talked to him yesterday. He would be happy to call in or go by Zoom. I didn't know that was really necessary, but we looked at this. Section 4 compensation. It says, in addition, county agrees to annually increase such compensation. Well, that's a typo. That doesn't need to be in there. I don't know if you guys read that. There's nothing in the contract. And really, I just thought we'd get something in paper that said what he was gonna do, what he was gonna charge, how many hours. I didn't expect him to send a full contract, but he's an attorney, so I should have expected. We don't really have to take any action on this today. One of the other things he mentioned too, if we decide to do this, this document says September. He thought the last 2 months of the year would be good. So if we do happen to engage his services, it'd be the 1st of November. That way he and Kevin could sort of coordinate for the last couple months of the year and hand everything off in a little more of an orderly fashion. So that's in front of you. Does anyone have any comment on that or any questions? Any commissioners?
Couple of things in the contract. Well, I didn't quite hear what you said. It was a typo.
Well, it's at section 4 compensation where it says in addition, county agrees to annually increase such compensation to Parker as specified herein. And the specified herein, I never could find anything about that. So I asked him yesterday and he said that shouldn't have been in.
Okay.
And I think there's somewhere in here where Mr. Hill noted that it said city, yeah, which is section 8.
Right.
Item B, and it's not city, it should be county.
Right.
That was
And
the
section 5, it says Nemo County, not Brown County.
Okay, so you caught another one that I didn't look over. So,
I guess what I was concerned about was that. Well, if we wanted to. Want him to quit, we had 3 months to pay. He wanted to quit, he only had 4 weeks. 3 months compared to 4 weeks. That's a little different.
I think our ambulance contract reads the same way. I think most of these contracts read that way. They take all the advantage and we
Read the worst.
we get wrong. Yeah.
And I thought it was, yeah, we need to be careful of if he resigned following that discussion, but formal or informal by the board. I mean, if you say something wrong, and take out his motion to resign. But that may not. Hopefully that would never be an issue. That's in section 3C, I think. 3C. But it's.
Okay, if the county reduces the salary, yeah, this is, the county refuses to comply. I see what you're saying there. So my interaction with him is pretty limited. It's a few phone calls, some texts, and some discussion with county commissioners from Nemaha County. One of them is sort of, I mean, they both like him. One of them likes him quite a bit more, I think, and thinks he has quite a bit to offer our county as far as an independent type voice. He does have some expertise in HR and just general, you know, we go through that, it seems, every meeting, some sort of HR stuff. Now, we do have that available through K-Camp. So that, you know, that is there. I think, I mean, again, in an effort where we're trying to cut budgets, why am I asking to spend more money? And I would say that it's a value proposition, and I think he brings something to the table that is worth what we pay him, and probably then some. I did ask about the, you know, is he gonna go hourly? If we ask him You know, he said any special projects, like if we asked him to go through and do an HR policy for whatever, you know, and it takes, he said it's gonna, but he won't charge us. He won't charge us for that unless we agree to something, and then we'll work something out and then a defined time period and a defined bill. Phone calls, emails, you know, visiting outside of the meetings, that's not going to be a billable type of minute. I mean, it does say in the contract here that they bill for every 10th of a minute. Or 10th of an hour, he's sorry, 10th of an hour, but he indicated that wouldn't be the case. He said I mean, I like him. I think he has a lot to offer. I think it's money well spent, and we don't have to do anything today. If we want to talk to him again, we sure can. But do you guys have any questions or comments?
When we look at the two that we interviewed, I just like the other one that was gonna give us here every week, so we're gonna be here. He was gonna be here for the meetings. And I think that's gonna be key for us and not on Zoom. We know how it is right now when we have Zoom versus being here and even first 30 minutes into the meeting and all of a sudden I need them. But that's my thought. I'd rather. It's not my thing on that was, you know, when you also want benefits.
He wanted 40,000 plus for the health and retirement. Yeah.
That was a big.
I'm not a huge fan of Zoom, but we're gonna do it right now in 1 minute, and it's workable, but I agree, in person, you know, it's something, but Zoom for me, Zoom is not the biggest stumbling block. For me, it's just, again, we fight this cut, and then we're gonna spend, or I'm advocating for spending. But I think our county attorney has, you know, enough on his plate. I think we maybe get better service out of having somebody else, and it's right in front of us, but it's 9:30. We're gonna roll on. But take that under advisement. We have Michelle Brinwald with the Clinda Osterman attorney group out of Wichita, I believe, who's going to talk to us about tax sales and all things related. So good morning. Can you hear us? And okay. We're having a little delay here. We're on mute, or you're on mute.
There we go. It wouldn't let me,
Right.
it would not let me unmute. I kept hitting the button and it wouldn't go. So
We'll just
something
get it
wrong.
harder, right?
I think I had to slide the screen over and find a different screen that would let me do it. So technically fine. I got it. It's good. I also have my partner, Chris McElgan, is also sitting in. He's probably on mute and it might take him a little longer to figure out how to get off mute, but
no, and we're just talking about how Zoom is not the preferable way here.
right.
So, you know, it's apropos on a Tuesday after a long weekend, but we only have 4 days to get through.
Well, I'll talk to you guys about anything you want tax foreclosure related. Chris has been doing tax foreclosure since I think 1989. I'm not that old, so I haven't been doing it quite that long, but probably about half those years I've been doing it with Chris. We got started, our firm did, doing tax foreclosure for Sedgwick County in the late 80s, early 90s, and have essentially done that ever since. And about oh gosh, it's probably been 12 years now, 10 or 12 years now. Kingman County reached out and said, hey, you do Sedgwick County. Do you want to do our county too? And we said, sure. And that was when the floodgates opened. And now we are in, oh gosh, 37 to 40 counties. I've lost track. We've had a lot of requests come in the last 4 weeks. So it's getting a little bit crazy, but we have a good staff and a full staff, and they manage it very well. So I will take your direction on what you want to talk about or what you want us to cover. I sent Lucas our general proposal. It outlines our tax foreclosure services. I can go through that. If you've already read it and you just want to ask me questions, I'm good with that format as well. You just let me know.
Okay, well, I'll start. Lucas Heinen here. And one of the questions that I think we had was, what happens if a property's up for sale doesn't sell. What happens in that scenario?
Well, people often think that the county becomes the owner of that property, but we don't take ownership interest in any real estate in the county. The county has a lien against that property. And even when we get through an entire piece of litigation and we get a final journal entry of judgment, we've converted our tax lien to a judgment lien. That's what the last kind of piece of litigation that we circulate is the journal entry of judgment. The sale process then is what we call post-judgment procedure, and it is the procedure to foreclose on our lien and basically convert our lien into money. So when we go to tax sale, if we have a property that doesn't sell, and I will reassure you, it's not very often that doesn't happen, even in our tiny little rural counties. That I just went and sold 3 parcels out in Kearney County on the Colorado border 2 weeks ago. And we were sure that one of those was not going to sell, and we sold them all, which was fantastic. All 3 parcels. But if they don't sell, and we do have some mineral interests that from time to time don't sell, the county doesn't own those properties, doesn't become the owner of those properties, but their lien continues to exist on those properties. And we have several options at that point. We can roll it into the next tax foreclosure sale. There's a statutory procedure that allows us to identify those properties and do a private sale. There are additional steps that need to be taken after our big public auction if we wanted to do a private sale of that real estate. But on the few times that we have had property hit a no sale, we typically just roll them into the next year and see if we can find a buyer. You'd be surprised what people will buy, or maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. But we typically don't have a lot of those, but we have options for cleaning those up post sale.
Well, typically in our county, unfortunately, we have a large majority that do not sell. And it's been that way the last 2 sales that we've had. There's always a huge list that does not.
What do those properties tend to be? Vacant lots, dilapidated houses? What's the nature of those, and why aren't they mineral interests? Do you have any idea why they might not be selling?
I can't remember all of them, dilapidated houses, but the taxes that are owed on them is too high and people are not gonna put the money in. It's just, historically, we've had a lot that do not sell.
So when we initiate our tax foreclosure proceedings, from the time we initiate through judgment, the process is done in such a way that allows us by statute to wipe out all of the delinquent taxes. So a taxpayer can either come in, redeem by paying in full, plus all the redemption costs, which are, I think you probably are familiar with that. I've outlined that in my letter, or it goes to sale. Once we go to sale, because we have followed all the statutory requirements of the tax foreclosure proceeding, any taxes that exist prior to the day of the sale that are a lien on the property are extinguished. So we do often have people come in and ask a couple questions at the tax sale when they see we publish the redemption costs for that specific parcel. They always ask, oh, do I have to pay all those redemption costs? Do I have to pay all the back taxes? No, those are eliminated by the process of the tax foreclosure sale. People ask, do you have a minimum bid? Is the minimum bid going to be the amount of the taxes? No, we typically, we figure it out as we get closer to tax sale based on what type of parcels we have and what the tax debt looks like. But the purpose of the tax foreclosure sale is to clean up your county tax ledger and to get the hands into someone who will pay the taxes. We love if people come in and redeem. If we get high redemption numbers prior to sale, that's the best way for the county to get the most bang for their buck, is through the redemption process. So we are constantly encouraging people, yes, come in and redeem, take partial pay. I tell the county treasurers, take partial payments. If they want to come in and pay $500 a month every month up into sale to try to get it paid off, accept those payments, because that's the best way for the county to be able to get revenue off of the real estate. Tax sale is a money loss. You will never make your money back selling properties. You will make your money back on redemptions. But selling is an obligation of the county commissioners. That's a statutory obligation all the county commissioners have, is to initiate the tax foreclosure proceedings. But also it cleans up your tax ledger. It gets the property into the hands of someone who will hopefully pay the taxes and keep this property out of future tax foreclosure sales. So I'm not sure how it's worked in the past, but we are always very clear with our bidders. we get these questions at every sale. Am I going to have to pay the past due taxes? The answer is no, but you will have to pay the taxes going forward. And if we sell property late into a calendar year, we make sure that they're very aware that we don't prorate. If you end up acquiring this property in December of 2025, you will owe all of 2025 taxes. We don't prorate for the 11 months you weren't the owner, and we're very clear about that at tax sale.
Would it be all right? I'm speaking to my commissionership.
Sure.
Or Nikki, would it be okay to send her this example from the guy that just came in? Okay, our county clerk, Nikki, is going to email you.
Okay.
We've had a taxpayer come in a situation where lives next to a delinquent property, or a property that they hadn't paid their taxes on, and he had some questions. And
Sure.
we're going to have the experts in this field on in an hour. Took off because he's a busy guy, but you'll get this email, take a look over it. What can the county do? And I guess I'd love to have you explain this whole thing to me. I mean,
sure. I'll just see. I'll wait for that to come through. Just so I understand.
And then clarify too, Michelle. So you said, if I understand this correctly, what you said was that if a property comes up for a tax sale, then the idea hopefully is the current owner would redeem it, which means pay it in full or make partial payments with the obligation of paying it in full. But if the property sells on a tax sale, then it doesn't sell with the burden of the delinquent taxes. It basically starts out new, and all the new buyer would pay for is that year's taxes in full.
That is correct.
What about, and in this example has a demolition charge assessed by the city. Do things like that get wiped away too?
If they are assessed as a lien on the property at the time of our foreclosure, yes, they do. And so we've had this issue come up before. Interestingly, I'll tell you an interesting story, a problem that we had down in Cherokee with this issue, where we had cities holding demo charges thinking that they weren't going to get eliminated, which created all kinds of ruckus. But yes, anything that is a demo charge, lawn mowing charge, any kind of cleanup charge that is assessed as a lien on the real estate at the time that we take judgment, then those liens are wiped out. And so we've had a couple of these come up. This has come up from time to time. Sorry, I'm looking at this email. I just received a delinquent tax bill. Is that what I'm looking at for a Brian Crossan?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
$12,000. Okay. So I'll address that in a minute, but I'll tell you my story. So we've had this a couple times. Last week we were down selling in Lynn County, and Chris, if you want to jump in on this Lynn County discussion, because I know you've talked to the HOA down there. There's a lake down in Lynn County, and there's an HOA, a Lynn Valley Homeowners Association. They own all these little tiny lots around a lake. Some of them are slips for boats. Some of them have a little dock. Some of them have nothing. But they HOA had there were 20 or 30 properties in our 180 parcel case, and the taxes on them were very high because it was all assessed HOA dues that had not been paid, because the HOA dues are kind of high on those properties. And so a bunch of them ended up in tax foreclosure. Well, the HOA had not filed any liens on those parcels. And so they were kind of in this weird spot where they didn't have liens so they thought that they were preserving their lien rights. And they thought that we would sell the property last week and the new owner would be responsible for that debt on that HOA dues. And so the answer is no, that is not true. That is not how it works. And we worked with the HOA pretty closely, and the HOA's legal counsel has reached out to us to figure out a way to preserve the HOA's ability to recover some of that money. And they did some last minute lien filings, and they'll be able to come in and clean up and ask for any of the excess proceeds that were available. But basically, as we told them, your HOA, those HOA dues, those are gone. Your claim is directly against the homeowner for a breach of contract on your HOA claim. But as for the real estate, the new owners picked that up in tax sale free and clear. And so we worked with the HOA, we worked with their counsel and the county, and it tried to just get it to a good place that everybody understood what was happening happening with those HOA dues, and they were significant, but those liens are gone. We had an issue down in Cherokee County. Chris, I'll let you come back and talk about that HOA stuff, but we had a situation down in Cherokee County a couple years ago where we had one of the municipalities was holding all of the billings, the city billings for any kind of cleanup, tear down, removal, whatever. And wait, because they knew we had a tax sale coming. And so they decided they were going to hold all of that, all of those invoices, not send them over to the county to be added to the tax rolls until after our tax sale was complete. So some of these bills had been held for 4 or 5 years or 3 years because they knew the county was in the process of, was when they had first hired us and they were in the process of trying to get us retained. And they all said, well, we're going to hold all these invoices because the tax sale is going to wipe them out, which it does. And then we'll bill the new owner afterwards for the charge. Well, we are of the position, we didn't have to get into that fight. The new buyers that bought those pieces of real estate took it up directly with the city, but we are of the position in that case, it doesn't matter. One, you violated statute by not promptly reporting on an annual basis your city charges on your county tax roll. So that's a problem. But also, those are liens on the real estate, and they had notice of our foreclosure action. And so those liens were wiped out. So Chris, you want to talk about that HOA dues?
Yeah, going back to the demolition charge, that type of special tax, once assessed, as Michelle said, is by statute part of the delinquent property taxes that are wiped out by or discharged, extinguished by the tax foreclosure sale, and do not carry are not a burden on the property. That happens very, very often. Anything that's not assessed as a lien, according to the statutory procedure for those type of assessments, if it hasn't gone through the cycle and is not yet assessed as a lien, it's not subject to the foreclosure. So it all triggers on the lien right. And then that demolition cost, I can tell you, sometimes we can look at the special tax, and if it's between $7,000 and $13,000, depending upon the county, we know that that's a demolition lien. And so the tax sale purchaser takes a risk that these unlevied special taxes are yet due and owing. And Michelle makes a very extensive announcement at the sale and provides a warning, a list of those type of problems that the buyer at the tax sale takes the risk because they're buying depressed property. On the HOA, the problem with the HOA was the fact that they hadn't gotten into taking care of their lien rights by filing the lien. And the way that worked was their covenants and restrictions and conditions made that a personal obligation of the landowner subject to their perfecting of the lien. And so they had to rush in and file liens prior to the sale in order to take advantage of any excess sale proceeds, which ultimately I don't believe there were any, maybe on one parcel. So that kind of gives you kind of an idea of the different rights of either the cities or the municipalities or even the county on special tax liens for code violations and those type of things. And then we go back through to those type of assessments held by private parties that may or may not follow the property. As far as special taxes, I don't know if you have it in your municipalities. Those that are assessed that are burdened on the property for guttering, sewer, those type of things that come due every year, those special taxes remain a burden on the property. And so everything that becomes a lien after the sale, the owner has to pay for those type of assessments.
Chris, what they had sent me was a copy of tax billing statement on a piece of property. I did just forward that to you. And it has a demo charge that was assessed on the property back in 2020. So it's on the tax rolls. This would
Mhm.
be, if this property went through the tax foreclosure proceeding, this would be eliminated as a process, as a product of the tax foreclosure. If
Hey, we were
it-
kind of right. The amount was 8,300
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah.
We're pretty right without
Spot
even
on,
saying it. There we
spot
go.
on.
So there's a
Um,
question on this piece of paper, and I guess, we won't use any names, but
Sure.
in 2024, it says it was billed $57.90, and it looks like that tax was paid. Am I reading this correctly? And if I am,
That's-
what does that do to the remaining years where it hasn't been paid, plus this charge? I mean, is this a property that's eligible for sale at a tax sale?
So yeah, and actually while we're chatting, I'll pull out I keep a little dummy cheat sheet here handy with me of how properties become eligible by what year. So properties, yes, this property is absolutely eligible because its oldest year is 2020. Well, is 2020, yeah, of delinquent taxes. So the way it works, because as you know, it takes years for property to become eligible for tax foreclosure. And so as of September, I'm sorry, I don't have the date in front of me. I think it's the first Tuesday of September. Oh, is that today? That's today. As of today, we run into a new tax year. And so I keep this little cheat sheet here. So taxes as of today, taxes that are not paid for December in December of 2021, so the 2021 taxes, if they are not paid by December of 2021, they are delinquent as of May of 2022. They are, quote, bid in by the treasurer in September of 2022. For homestead property specifically, they have to remain delinquent for 3 years. So that becomes by 23, 24, and now September 2nd of 2025. If the 2021 taxes haven't been paid by now, September 2 of 2025, they are eligible to be included in our any tax foreclosure proceeding that we initiate as of today. They will be included in this tax. So if we look at this invoice, they have 2021 taxes due. Actually, it looks like they have 2020 taxes due. So they would have been eligible even last year for foreclosure. But yeah, this property would be included. So people kind of sometimes look at the tax statement and start present and kind of count back to see what the years are. But I always start back and work forward because it's different for vacant and abandoned property or commercial property, because then you look at a 2-year and a 1-year look back. Some counties do just look at 3 years and pull everybody in if they have at least 3 years, but you can make some tweaks to that and do a 2-year and a 1-year look window if you have your property kind of easily identified as commercial, abandoned, vacant, that kind of thing. So yeah, this property is clearly eligible, would have been eligible last year. Even on $17.58 of the oldest year of taxes.
So this used to be a church that was bought by somebody. Does that, for some reason, we're not picking it up year after year? It hasn't been picked up. It wasn't picked up this year for our tax sale.
Yeah, they can get it, but has the church been demoed?
Yeah.
I don't know that they would have the exemption, because to be an exempt, it may have not been picked up because people look at it and go, oh, it's a church, so it gets an exemption. But I think you have to have an active religious practice on the property in order, Chris is shaking his head, yes, in order for it to have the exemption. So it shouldn't have an active exemption anymore if the property isn't in use for religious purposes.
It looks like probably prior to 2020, since there's no 2019 taxes, apparently 2020 and even maybe 2020 ad valorem property taxes have been paid at the time of demolition. So it loses it likely they did not keep up their exemption, which people think it's automatic, but it's not now. It looks like probably after 2020, based upon the amounts here, it looks like it was probably billed as or assessed as a vacant lot.
This is a new owner of the property. I mean, I don't know if they purchased it or what they did. So that's not the church that still has the affiliation.
Right, exactly. So it's no longer exists.
Oh, yeah.
We got a tax sale we're in process right now, but for some reason, this one was not picked up
They wouldn't.
Sometimes we've had counties call us and have questions about religious properties or properties that have churches or property that are owned by churches that don't have a church on them. Sedgwick County will probably have anywhere from 3 to 10 show up in every year because we do about 1,000 parcels for Sedgwick County every year. And we always say include them in the tax foreclosure proceeding. We get service of process on typically the church, the church leader. We go to their websites, we do skip tracing, we find anybody who looks like they may be upper administration for a church, and we serve them. Half of them will call us and say, this is a church and we practice here, and we help them get through the paperwork of getting their exemption and getting that to us. And if they do all of that, then we can drop it or take steps to make sure that they get their taxes paid and that kind of thing. But half of them are usually don't have exemptions. So, but we kind of help the property owner work through all that process.
So in our specific example, this property is eligible for the tax sale due to delinquent taxes in 20, 21, 22, and 23.
Mhm.
24. That doesn't restart the clock. That's what I understand. Okay, because they're still
Right.
delinquent. If the current owner wants to maintain the ownership of this property, they pay all the back taxes, plus they pay the demolition charge.
Yes.
So if they decide that's not a good deal for me, if somebody else wants to purchase this property, someone new on the tax sale, they pay whatever the auction, ends at, say it closes at, I don't know, whatever the number is, but every other number on this page just goes to zero. They start by paying their auction price plus whatever the yearly tax would have been on that property for the current year they're in. So it looks like it's about, well, whatever the number is. That's it. That's the process in a nutshell.
Yeah. So let's say we pick this property up in tax foreclosure and we start a case and we're in auction by next September of 2026. We're in an auction. We sell this property. Somebody comes and buys it for $500. They pay that $500 that they bid at auction. We usually charge $100 court processing fee, and we also charge a $21 deed recording fee. So that way, when we prepare their new deed, we will get it recorded and we'll mail them an already recorded sheriff's deed. So in total, he would walk out of the sale. The buyer would walk out of the sale paying $621. And then in December of 2026, they'll get a tax bill for the 2026 taxes for $57.90, and that's what they'll pay. Yep. And if the current owner is not in, yes, for the current owner to keep it, they have to pay $12,412. They have to pay everything to get it out of my tax foreclosure proceeding and keep the property. If they don't think it's worth it, they can let it roll right to sale. That property owner will not be able to bid on any property in the tax sale because they will not be eligible by statute. Because to be an eligible bidder in tax foreclosure sale, you cannot have delinquent properties in the county. So there's a process that I help the treasurer walk through to make sure that anybody who is pre-registered to bid does not have delinquent taxes. So obviously this individual couldn't come and couldn't just buy his own property out of tax foreclosure. He couldn't buy any property out of tax foreclosure.
So given that, what would the county pay for your services in that same example?
Sure. So we pay, we are paid on a per parcel rate, and we set our per parcel rate based on how many parcels are eligible at the beginning of the case. So I do have county commissioners say, okay, we want to hire you, send us an engagement letter. And I say, can't send you an engagement letter till I know exactly what we're working with. Some counties will say, oh, we have 150 parcels. And then we help the county put together the parcel list. We use an Excel spreadsheet. I get it in, I look at it and I say, oh, like 50 of these aren't actually eligible for foreclosure yet. And we take them out. So we go through that process at the beginning of the case to make sure that we've identified the actual and good parcels that are eligible for foreclosure sale. And then we set our per parcel rate based on that. 100 parcels is a $350 per parcel rate, roughly. The more parcels you have, we can skinny our rate down a little bit because we have more parcels to make money off of. So when people come in to redeem, they have to pay, like, okay, we've initiated the foreclosure action, the lawyers are involved now. We send out the first copy of the lawsuit, people are getting served, and they say, oh my goodness, they're really going to sell my property now. They come in to pay their taxes. They have to pay, once we file, they have to pay all of the years of taxes due, plus these 3 specific redemption fees. One is a court cost fee, $100, pretty standard across the board. That helps us cover the cost of sale, helps give us money to reimburse the county for expenditures that it will have along the way for publication and title work, or publication, excuse me. Title work is a separate fee, an abstract fee. The property owner will have to pay that. And then our attorney fee, which again is set based on the number of parcels. The redemption fees, as we call them, typically range anywhere from $400 to $600. And that's an additional tax or cost that the taxpayer has to pay when they redeem. We take those redemption fees, not we, but we will instruct your treasurer as those redemption fees are paid to hold them in a separate account. And at the end of the case, your treasurer will have taken people who have redeemed. She takes that tax money, applies it to the taxes, but then those redemption fees she holds in a separate account to the end of the case. So we put that aside. We go to sell, let's say we sell 20 parcels. Every parcel, some bring more than the taxes, some bring less than the taxes. Sometimes, like I did out in Kearney County, I had a property that had $900 worth of taxes on it. It was a patch of farmland that was actually surrounded by, had no ingress egress. It was surrounded on all sides by other land, sold for $25,000. So made a lot of money on that property. But then the property we didn't think would sell actually sold for $500. So, and it had $5,000 worth of taxes. So sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less. There's a 1992 Kansas Court of Appeals case that gives instruction on how to then take those sale funds and apply them across all parcels. And so you kind of aggregate your the money that you collect at sale and then the money that you collect in redemption fees, and you put it into this massive spreadsheet and say, okay, this parcel is going to bear, every parcel has to bear some burden of the cost of sale. And that's some burden of my fee, some burden of publication, some burden of the abstract fee. Even if they don't bring enough money at sale to cover that, there is a balancing out of that process. So typically all of the money at the end of the day, both through redemption and sale proceeds, is thrown into a big pot and then sorted out in accordance with the way the Court of Appeals has told us to sort that out. So we don't, as that money's coming in on redemptions, they're not paying us per parcel for those. It's just held till the end of the case. And then I do, after the sale, I'll do a massive accounting calculation. We file it with the court that shows how everybody gets paid. We reimburse the county back for any expenditures it's had. We reimburse us for our per parcel fee. If the abstract hasn't been paid, we get that paid, and that kind of thing. So if there's ever a point where there's not enough money to pay us, we would reduce our fee. Thank goodness that hasn't happened yet. And I have if you guys want to go into have more information on how that process works, I can happily send you the Kearney County spreadsheet that I've already filed with the court because we brought that case up. And it's kind of a good explanation of how it works. It's 3 parcels. It's really easy. One brought a lot more than would cover the taxes. One brought $500 on a $5,000 bill, and one brought just a little bit more than the taxes. And so it's 3 perfect examples in a 3 sale case to show how it all works out.
The bottom line for you though is the county doesn't pay us anything. It all comes out of the taxpayers' redemption or the sale proceeds. If there's not, at the end of the day, the good guys, as I call us, get paid last. If there's not enough money to pay us for the balance of our per parcel fee, then it is forgiven, and you don't have to worry about budgeting for our services. We started this process many years ago because, as you may have experienced a little bit in your county, there was this internecine warfare between the treasurer's office and all the other county departments, and the treasurer had to budget for our fee. And he said, well, wait a minute, everybody benefits from tax foreclosure, so every department should take a little piece of that and have it as a charge against that department's budget. which could have never been figured out. So we sat down with the county counselor and we come up with this idea, say, well, wait a minute, under the statute, we have the ability to make it self-funding, and then you put the risk of shortfall of attorney's fees on the attorneys, and it's up to us to manage and make sure that that gets taken care of the best we can. But there is absolutely no exposure to your budget process, your mill levies, those type of things that you have to set and say, hey, we need to, allocate in our budget, either the treasurer or someone else, so much money for Clinda Osterman's tax foreclosure services.
Okay, so I guess two questions then. What percentage of, that's just a guess, of properties are actually redeemed? What percentage of people are scared into, getting the taxes paid? And of course, I'm not an advocate for strong arming folks, but if you sit here with delinquent bills for 5 or 10 years, it sinks everybody's ship, it affects everyone. Okay, and then the next thing is, so the county, if I understand you correctly, we don't budget for you, so there's really nothing out of our pocket per se. But if there's proceeds from the sale over and above the cost of your services, is that a regular occurrence? And if so, is that the county's funds then to do with as we please, or do they have to go certain directions?
Well, Lucas, that's really 3 questions, but I can answer all of those for you. On the redemptions, I would say it depends on the county, obviously, but always more than 50% redemption. So right now, and in fact, I just got my report for Sedgwick County. We started Sedgwick County with 891 parcels. We get a daily redemption report from Sedgwick County. And I want to say we're just publishing journal entries, and we'll probably go to sale the first week of November. So this case has been, we got this list last September. So obviously Sedgwick County's taken about 14 months, I would say, that we're wrapping up. And I think our count is right around, I'm looking for my report that I received this morning. Here we go. Our total count right now is at 201. So out of 891, we're down to 201 properties, and these will continue to redeem pretty regularly and from now until sale. Some people are trying to make payments to get those off the tax ledger, but yeah, we'll probably go, I would say, best estimate, when doing it for so many years, we'll probably sell about 150 parcels out of our 891 in Sedgwick County. We did Kearney County. I told you I went out there and sold 3 parcels. We started with 13 in Kearney. So yeah, once you get the summons, it goes pretty quick. Lynn County, which we did last week, we started with 331. We sold 337, and we sold 81. So the redemption numbers are pretty significant. Also, we roll the cases pretty quickly. We tell people anywhere from 12 to 18 months is from start to finish, from when we get the list and get it cleaned up and know what we're doing in terms of how many parcels you have through the sale. It's usually about 12 to 18 months. A lot of that depends on how fast your title company works. Sometimes title companies turn title work really, really fast. And sometimes I can wait 9 months to get a full title, all the title work in. So that is always kind of our varying factor in there. But people realize, I think, that we're not going to file tax foreclosure in 2025 and maybe get to sale in 2029. When we take the cases, I think they're getting service, they're getting publication, they're getting another publication. It goes pretty quickly. So our redemption numbers are pretty good. You had a question of what the county needed to budget for. You don't need to budget for a fee, but I will say there are 2 items that we ask the county to pay the invoices when they come due. The first is the abstract fee or the title work fee. With the title company, sometimes I don't know what your relationship is with your title company, but or you can use our title company. We've got a great title company that works incredibly fast. They'll come up and do the title work for us if they don't already. It's Security First. I don't know if they have an office up in your neck of the woods or not. We've worked with them for 30 years, probably 20 years. But some title companies will not bill until the case is over and say, just pay me when the case is over, which is fine. I think the larger the parcel list, the more likely they're going to want to get paid. And we asked the county to pay that out of general fund. I don't know if that's something you have to budget for, but we do ask that when that bill comes in that you get it paid. The other thing is the publication fees. We have to publish basically 6 times. At the beginning of the case, we publish the notice of suit once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. And then at the end of the case, we have to do the notice of sale, same thing, once a week for 3 weeks. Those invoices come in and we send those to the treasurer and ask that she pay those out of general fund. At the end of the case, when we throw all that money into the pot and do the final accounting, the county's reimbursed in full for those expenses. We've never had to reduce our fee, but if we had to reduce our fee to get the county reimbursed in full for the expenses, we would, but we have never had to do that, so.
So we budget for it as we go through the process, but once the process is over, the county's reimbursed.
Fully, yeah. The other
fully.
the other one you asked about was the excess fees. So the county does not have, we follow that chart that I mentioned, the allocation chart that we follow with the Kansas Court of Appeals. And sometimes that means that parcels that sell for $25,000 above the taxes, there's a little bit more money in that pot to help cover expenses, but it's not, it's not, you don't just take all of the expense money out of there. And there are parcels that don't bring enough money to cover the expenses, and those usually don't have any money left over to pay taxes. And again, it's a chart I can send it. I'm happy to kind of walk you through that separately. But yeah, when there is money over and above the taxes and costs that are left over, each parcel will have a little bit of excess proceeds, but that belongs to anybody who owned an interest in the property. So think of it like this. If I come in, you're going to sell, you have a mortgage on your home for $100,000. And I come in and I sell your property for $200,000. The $100,000 mortgage is paid off, but that's your equity in the home. That $100,000 is your equity and you're entitled to that cash. Same thing if we sell it in tax foreclosure. If someone owes taxes of $10,000 and we foreclose and we sell that property for $30,000, that some of it is going to go to cost. There may be like, I don't know, $17,000 left over. That's the homeowner's equity in that real estate. And just because we sold that at a tax foreclosure auction doesn't entitle us to take all that equity. The homeowner's entitled to that equity if there is any. Now we don't just write a check and hand it over to them. Anybody who wants to make a claim to the excess proceeds, and that could be the owner, that could be a lien holder, a judgment lien holder, any kind of creditor, all these people that we will have served during our proceeding, they can file a motion in our case and make a claim to those excess proceeds. So they have to, I know there were some counties at one point were just saying, oh, this is excess proceeds left over, we'll send that check to the homeowner. Well, if there are other first priority lien holders on that property, they have a right to make a claim to that money, but they have to do it by motion, and they can file that motion in our case and get it heard and get an order for the proceeds to be dispersed, because we don't let any money go out of a case that isn't approved by court order, most of which I draft and send up to the court. So, but anybody that wants excess proceeds, they also have to go get an order to get that money.
Since you're from Wichita, we're Brown County. The legal action, does it go through Brown County?
Yes.
Then everything goes through Brown County court.
Yep.
The sale happens in Brown County.
Yep.
Is it online? Is it in person?
No.
Okay.
We do everything in person. I have this, I don't know if you can see this. This is my chart of all the counties we're currently working in. I circle, you can see I got Brown County with a little line under it because you guys aren't in the circle yet because you haven't hired us yet. But yeah, these are all the counties that we do. And we file in all of the county district courts. We get to know a lot of county officials, a lot of county folk, county clerks, county treasurers, county district court reps. And we go out to all the counties. Obviously, all of our filing is online. We really don't have to go out to the counties until we get down to sale. Occasionally, we'll have some counties we'll have to go to hearing. Chris is getting ready to go out into Morton County because they want us to walk through the whole process of how our tax foreclosure proceedings work, which is great. So he's going to go out to Morton County here in a month or so and visit with the judge in our case out there, but we will go whenever there needs to be a hearing. We'll come and show up in person. We come and show up in person for the sale. We do all of our sales in person, except Sedgwick County has now gone to online sales. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I think they converted to, and well, it was post COVID because we even did a sale during 2020 during COVID. So I guess it was 2021 that Sedgwick County went to online sale. We will do it however you want to do it. The online auction works really well for them. And they've been happy with it. So I think they're going to stick with it. But most counties prefer to do it in person because a lot of locals will come out. I will also say I've developed somewhat of a following. I like to call them my tax sale groupies, who tend to go everywhere I go. We have a website, the Glenda Osterman tax website, and we put information about every tax sale or current pending tax case that we have ongoing. And a lot of my tax sale groupies just follow our page. And I did have a guy from Hutchinson go all the way out to Kearney County 2 weeks ago and then got nothing. He didn't win anything. But then he went to Lynn County, which is all the other way on the other side of the state, and ended up spending about $100,000 buying a couple properties. So I do have a good amount of regulars that show up at these in-person sales. So I'll bring bidders to buy your property, apparently.
I think the advantage on that we bring, somewhat of an advantage, is all those folks. We have people from Minnesota and Colorado come to our sales regularly. It's because they know we apply the rules on a consistent basis. So we're a known quantity. They know how we conduct the sale. They know we're easy to work with. They know that we have good experience. And so that generates some attendance. Plus, I have two sisters from Oklahoma that come out to a bunch of our sales just simply because I wear a different suit every time, and they just like to give me a rating on my suit. So, but Michelle's right. I think it's because there's consistency in the way we do it. They know where they can get the information. They get the same information from the treasurer on a consistent basis. So there's some value to that. However, we don't come in and say, we're going to remake the way that perhaps you guys have been doing it for years. We assimilate that into our processes and just make sure that the basic and most important statutory rules are followed. And so we kind of blend established practices to the extent they comply with the statute to our regular processes.
Okay, so you mentioned September 2nd, we have a tax sale in process from, I think 2019 till whatever's current. Does that mean today that there's a whole new list of eligible properties ready to go through this for the next 12 to 18 months? And then,
yeah.
Okay, now does that mean that next September, does the thing start all over, or do we have a gap year there?
No. So the parcels that are currently that are pending in your current tax sale case, let's say you have, 100 Smith Drive is in your current case, and it has, 5 years delinquent taxes on it. Now it still hasn't paid those taxes. It's pending in that case. Now, as of September 2, right now, as of today, it gets another year. That parcel just stays in that original foreclosure action. You don't have to re-foreclose on it. Once the foreclosure action is initiated and that parcel is in the foreclosure action, it just rolls through until you get to sale, and then all of the years are wiped out. Sometimes in small counties or in rural counties or counties where you have a county attorney or county counselor doing all of the work, it is difficult for them to push cases through in 12 to 18 months because they wear a lot more hats than just doing tax foreclosure. And so sometimes those cases will sit on the docket for 3 years, 4 years. While that case is sitting there, that parcel, if the taxes aren't paid, it just continues to add additional years. And now any parcel that's in that pending case, it's adding another year on as of today. We don't re-foreclose on those parcels. What we look at, or what we would take in a new case, would be anything that wasn't already in an existing foreclosure action that has, like I said, 2021 or older taxes on it.
Okay, so it's a different set of properties. Some
It is,
properties
yeah.
are in it already, but we've got a whole new list of newly eligible properties that your company would take on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have, when we, what we do is we ask to work directly with your treasurer, and which I believe is, Betty, is that correct? Betty Spikes? So your current
Spiker,
treasurer?
yeah, Betty Spiker.
Betty Spiker. I did look that up this morning. So what we would do, we have a list, kind of a form that we say, okay, Betty, here's our kind of instruction, our little instruction form. This is how you decide which parcels are eligible, 3-year, 2-year, 1-year residential versus abandoned or vacant versus commercial properties. And we send her that and we say, now look at your properties, eliminate anything that's already in a foreclosure proceeding. And here are the years, and we kind of step her through that. And then we send a blank Excel spreadsheet with multiple columns across the top, tax ID number, name of the party that's responsible for receiving the tax statements, the address at which the tax statements are mailed, legal description, situs address. If it's different than where the property was mailed, we want to have a different, the actual situs address, years of delinquent taxes that are there, and then fill all of that in and send it back to us. And then that's when we start reviewing the parcels to confirm that all of the parcels listed are eligible. I did have somebody just send me one, a new county just send me one about 3 weeks ago, and it had 150 parcels on it. And I started looking, and there were there were so many that weren't eligible yet. So I sent it back and I said, okay, here are the guidelines again. These are the parcels you need to take out based on the information you have. And then we also look at that master spreadsheet with the treasurer and say, hey, we're missing a legal description. Can you find the legal description off the tax rolls for this, or go to your appraiser, see if we have a last deed of record on this property. So we want to make sure we have a very clean list, but all of that work we do directly with the treasurer's office. And your treasurer or your deputy treasurers are free to call us, ask us questions. Tracy answers a lot of calls. She's my legal assistant. She's been doing this for years. She takes a lot of treasurer's calls, works directly with making sure that we have good legal descriptions and good parcels that are, actually eligible for the foreclosure proceeding. And that's how the whole process is jump started. So if there are parcels that accidentally slip in, usually in that aren't eligible, or that may be in another foreclosure proceeding, we typically are able to clean it up and make sure that we aren't doubling up on anything, and that we've got actual eligible parcels in that list.
Okay, and your company, by being in contact with the treasurer, which by the way, we got your company's name from our treasurer as someone.
Oh, good.
Okay, so yeah, and she had the top 3 in the state to do this, and you were number 1. So
Oh,
I think
thanks.
that's the treasurer's association, whatever group they're in. Does this increase her workload, or is it just a kind of a redirection of what she's doing already?
Well, I hope that it decreases her workload.
Okay.
I hope that it makes it easy enough that she doesn't have to manage a lot of the work that she may have managed beforehand. I do tell my treasurer, we need your help up front, because we need to identify the parcels, and we need you to fill out our Excel spreadsheet and, help us get everything identified. But after that, the only thing, once we get that, we deal with the title company. We go back and forth with the title company to get accurate information, send that list over to the title company, work with the title company to make sure that we have all of the documentation we need, and that we have everything we need in order to get the case on file, or to get those parties added to our case that'll be on file. Then the only thing the treasurer does from that point forward is, as people come in to redeem, once they pay in full, we need the treasurer's office to send us an email and say, parcel 22 was redeemed in full by payment of taxes and redemption costs, and keep track of all of those. We prepare a tracking sheet for them to keep on hand. We also keep a tracking sheet. So every time, let's say she gets 5 redemptions in on a Tuesday, she sends us an email, says these 5 redeemed. She checks them off her list. We check them off our list. We note the date that we got the redemption report from the treasurer. And then about every month or two, we check in and say, hey, we started with 100 properties. I see our count has us down to 80. Are you at 80? And if there's some discrepancy, we clean it up. And that's really all we ask of the treasurer throughout the case. When we get to the end of the case, we take judgment, we set it for sale. We do that in coordination with the county offices. So we're in touch with the treasurer a lot during the process, but your treasurer's office shouldn't have much to do. But when we get to sale, we do ask that the treasurer be on site if we have that at the county courthouse or at a fairgrounds, wherever we might have it, to assist, to answer questions, to be available. But we take charge of the sale. We bring our staff, as much staff as needed. If it's a small sale, Chris and I will just come out and handle it. If it's a big sale, we bring up to 2 or 3 staff members with us to help. But
We had a little sidebar here. And
Sure.
we invited our county treasurer to come down. And we're a little late to the party. I'm sorry, but
That's
we
okay.
mentioned her name so
Hmm.
much, I thought maybe she'd have a question or two for you. So she's on her
Yeah.
way.
Okay, that's great.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add before Betty comes back down, the one thing, and I know that it's in the information that Michelle provided, but one point that we'd like to clarify is that if we're fortunate enough and honored enough for you to retain us, we provide more services throughout the year under our fee arrangement that are tax foreclosure related or property tax related for no additional fees. It's all everything we do throughout the year. So what does that mean? Well, we become your counsel for property tax issues except for valuation and appraisal. So if someone has a question about a parcel or a practice or a requirement that's not directly related to a pending case, you just pick up the phone, you call us, email us. Michelle takes care of that. We put our heads together and provide the county staff or whomever has a question, treasurer. Sometimes they're bankruptcy questions. Sometimes hey, we have somebody, there's a probate estate, they have a question. We handle all of that ongoing advice for no additional charge other than the per parcel fee that we get in the tax foreclosure case. Why do we do that? Well, number one, we enjoy working with counties. I can't tell you how much we enjoy the best clients. We have a great time doing it. But it makes our job a lot easier because when it comes time for Michelle to initiate one of these cases and start going through the parcel list, and we're as clean as can be because if property goes into tax foreclosure, trust us, there's something messed up. Either it's not worth anything, or there's something with the title. There's something screwy with that property. So it helps us and it helps you if we're kind of hovering over in the background, providing you with ongoing legal advice. It makes everybody's job a lot easier. The other thing that we say is that we consider ourselves to be an arm, or like we have an office in your courthouse. Your constituents are our constituents. And so not only are we providing you services, we know that we have to keep a good relationship and an effective relationship with the folks that live in your county at the end of the day, because we're providing them a service as much as anyone else. And so we like to think we're pretty experienced about calming the waters. We always say we don't want our name in the mouth of any of your complaints. And so you got a problem with somebody that is mad because their property is being foreclosed on, and it's something that the treasurer doesn't want to deal with, you send that person Michelle's way. Between the two of us, we sit down, and we're pretty successful in taking care of those complaints. And people may not like the outcome, but they feel a lot better about it because they understand it and they feel like they've been someone's talked to them, and that takes the burden off you folks of dealing with that. And so again, it makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Okay, well, our treasurer came down and I'm sorry, BJ, we invited you kind of late to the party, but your name came up, or your office came up quite a bit here. So this is Michelle and Chris from Clinda Osterman. I told them that we got the name for that company from you as a recommendation, and said they're going to interact quite a bit. And if we engage their services, they interact with your office a lot. So
Did you have anything maybe that you'd want to ask him?
I don't know that I have a lot prepared right now as far as to ask a question. I would like to, in case you're not aware, like we do have 3 reservations in the county. And I know those properties are handled differently. They're federal, so you know, when I run my list, it includes everything, and then some of those, they have to come back off or whatever. It's just kind of a heads up, making you aware of that. You know, I'm still finishing my first term as treasurer, so I've never really been involved in a tax sale. It was in the office, but not on the tax side of the sale. So our first sale will be new to me too. And I'm sure more questions will arise as that comes. Are you guys?
Well-
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, well, if this is your first term, then you probably weren't at the last Treasurers Association meeting that we presented at, were you?
I have seen you guys present, yes.
Okay,
I'm finishing my first term. It's been finishing my first
Oh,
4 years.
got you.
But
Okay.
as far as being involved with a tax sale, so far, all I've done is just sent delinquent properties to our county attorney's office and tried to help with that and do that. So
Well, you're free to call. I mean, if after this meeting you want to just pick up the phone and call one of us, you're free to do that. I had mentioned earlier, I have 2 full-time staff, two full-time legal assistants, and a third assistant that works on these cases. We do ask whenever we're communicating with counties that everything be emailed back and forth to our Glenda Osterman tax group. And so every time you see anything come from us, Glenda Osterman tax group will be copied on it. So you can email us questions, call us with questions, but someone on that group email will respond to your question, usually within almost immediately, but if not immediately, within 24 hours. I think the last time I think it's been 3 years. I can't remember, 3 years. Maybe it was right when you took office then that we presented at the Kansas Treasurers Association. Because then last year I presented at a title association group. And I don't think we presented anywhere this year, but but yeah, you're free to call us with questions, email us with questions. We'll be in close contact with you. And as Chris had mentioned, I don't know if you caught it. People will call you when case gets filed. Obviously, they see that they're in tax foreclosure. The first call they make is to the treasurer's office. And sometimes we try to make sure you and your deputies are equipped with the right information and the right answers. You're free to say, hey, send us an email or call us. This guy just walked in. He's got a question about, can he pay the most current year? Can he pay the oldest year and get dropped? Like, we try to make sure you are well educated on here's what you need to tell him. If you tell him those things and he's still angry, we say send him over to our office. Like, we'll take the call. If one of us will be here, one of us is always at the office, usually available to take call. We also have set up a tax foreclosure voicemail line. So the front office or the front desk receptionist, if someone is calling about tax foreclosure, she'll say, okay, the lawyers aren't here, go ahead and leave a message. And usually at 3:30 every day, my assistant Tracy goes through all the voicemail and returns any of the calls that she's received in the last 24 hours. And I mean, all of the questions are generally the same 10 questions, and she answers those pretty well. If someone is mad, she sends us an email and said, okay, one of you guys needs to call this guy because here's the issue. And then Chris and I just figure out who's going to call him back. But we give all your constituents get a return call always.
And we do store and maintain those voicemail messages. So if somebody says, hey, Betty, we call these yahoos out in Sedgwick County and nobody ever called me back. Well, we'll have a record of their actual voicemail and a confirmation that they were called back. So we do log that.
Yeah.
The only thing that we can't really do for you is give them the redemption amount payoffs.
Right.
That's something that has to come from your office.
Yeah.
Some counties run interest every day. Some of them don't run it until the 20th of the month. And so all of our legal documents say for current payoff amounts, contact the treasurer's office, so that they will contact you for that. We will, as the case unfolds and different redemption fees are being added on, we will let you know, okay, today's the day when the list comes to us. Today's the day you add the final list is done. Today's the day you add our attorney fee redemption cost. When we get the list prepped and send it over to title company, company will say, okay, hey, now as of today, we're sending this to the title company, add on, you should be collecting our attorney fee redemption costs. You're going to add on the abstract fee redemption costs. And then once we file, we say, okay, now today you add the court fee abstract cost, the court fee redemption cost on. So
Okay, yeah.
we walk you through all of that. We handhold you and make sure you know where we are every step along the way.
Okay, that's wonderful. We do add interest daily.
Okay.
So yeah, if somebody calls.
Yeah, there's no way for us to track that.
Right, no, there's not. I know with our system, it's a dinosaur, but it does work. It's very
Yeah.
functionable. It's just, it's more manual, but.
Betty,
it's-
I got a question. Is the day your publication day on your treasurer delinquent tax sale?
No, they go.
They already
August
gone through.
1.
The day's the day that
The
you
day is
start.
the redemption day.
Right.
Yeah.
That they do
Redemption
that.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's also still closing out the last of the month. So it's kind of.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, we try not to go unless you request it. We do try not to go to sale like in the first couple weeks of December and those type of busy times for you guys, if that's a problem. So.
Yeah. Those high tax times, distribution times. Yeah, there's certain dates that I would say, please stay away from, but otherwise, yeah.
As for your reservation properties, we would just ask that you go ahead and include those on the list. I don't know if you caught it or if you've heard us say it before. We don't ask you to send us the individual tax statements for properties. We send you an Excel spreadsheet and ask you to fill in the Excel spreadsheet with your with all of the parcels. It has different columns for different bits of information we need. And then we would just have you mark on that spreadsheet somewhere reservation property. Like we also ask people to mark mineral interests. So when they send that, we use that spreadsheet, we get that spreadsheet back. We review it in conjunction with you in your office to make sure everything looks appropriately eligible. And then we send that master spreadsheet over to the title company and ask them, instead of doing title reports, to do the exact same thing, fill in the spreadsheet with all of the information they gather. And then we then have everything we could possibly need to answer any question on this case in one spreadsheet. We have titled owners, we have lien holders, we have preliminary tax amounts, we have legal addresses, we have mailing addresses. So what happens, and I can't tell you the number of times I access these spreadsheets during a day, what then happens is maybe an attorney enters and they call and they say, hey, we have a question about this. I'm showing up as the owner, but I deeded this property to my uncle, 3 years ago. I go, okay, let me check the spreadsheet. I open up the spreadsheet and I say, oh yeah, that's actually when the taxes stopped being paid was when it was 3 years ago, but there's no deed of record in our, we can see the tax amounts. We can see, or these were being mailed to this address. Is this the right address? Is this the wrong address? You need to go correct that with your county clerk, different things like that. So the spreadsheet becomes kind of the go-to Bible for everything tax related. And when people call with questions, we then have it all right there at our fingertips.
Yes. Yeah. That's my county attorney, his office. We work on an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, good.
And
Good.
yeah, so we can correspond. I can make notes, shoot her back the spreadsheet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Do you work with law enforcement then too, as far as serving paperwork? Will you
I was
be?
just going to bring that up. Michelle.
The first year we took on Cherokee County, we say, hey, how do you want us to do service? We can use your sheriff's department or we can do service ourselves. And they had asked us, it might have not been Cherokee. I think it might have been Chautauqua. And, but one of those Southeast counties, and it did not really go so well. The sheriff's office has really no interest in serving, serving our tax foreclosure lawsuits. They got other things to do. And that was probably the first and last year that we tried to use one of our outer counties, sheriff's department. We do all of the service of process ourselves. Locally in Sedgwick County and the counties around here, we do it by special process server that works for our office. He's a special process server, former fire chief that we employ. But in the other counties, we usually serve by certified mail. We have my legal assistant Tracy has an amazing system set up for serving and tracking returned mail sender unknown. She will go back to title companies and ask for addresses. We do ask the title companies up front to provide as many possible addresses as they can for service of process, If there was an old probate case, like give me the name and address of the lawyer so we can make sure that the lawyer gets served and gets notice that some property related to this individual is back in tax foreclosure sale. We have our own skip tracing database. So when mail comes back unclaimed, a certified mail comes back unclaimed, we run them through our databases, look for new addresses, check through obituaries. All of that is done in-house by us.
Okay. So you do this a lot. We don't do it at all. Typically, what happens if a county is interested or thinks they're interested in your services? What's the next step?
The next step would be for me to work with your treasurer to get a list. And then once we have a list together, I'd send you okay, well, this is what our fee would be on this. And we can help you write a board resolution. If you don't have one, I have a pretty generic form for a board resolution, and I send an engagement letter. But whether the board resolution is in place or whether our fee agreement is in place, we're working for you. We're your legal counsel as soon as we start engaging in the process of preparing the list and getting that list put together with the treasurer.
So then do you need our, like a vote from the board right now to proceed with this, or does the treasurer, you contact the treasurer, she sends you the information, then we get this letter and then we vote to proceed or not?
We can do it. We can do it however you want to do it, sir. I will, if you want me to work with your treasurer, if you want to say, yeah, we want to hire you today, we want to vote, we want to go in private session and vote, we want to, however you want to do it, we are flexible.
Well, our county attorney's all for it. I think the people of the county are ready to get moving on the tax sale. I mean, I'm ready, but I'm just one of three. I don't know, is it appropriate to jump? Are you guys ready to jump, or you want to talk about it some more? What do you think? You too.
I'm ready to jump.
You're ready to jump?
Our thing is, we're in the middle of one now too, so I mean, it's gonna be.
That shouldn't affect. Yeah, that shouldn't affect anything we do. We've done that. When we first took over Cherokee, there were actually 2 other pendings with 2 other lawyers that they had been pending a really long time. And we did what I anticipate we would do in your county is we just started with anything that becomes eligible as of today. That is not already on an existing tax foreclosure case. We'd identify those parcels and kind of figure out how what we set our fee at for those going forward. We actually down in Cherokee County were able to do that case in about 14 months. And then the county said, well, hey, those 2 other cases that existed before you are still pending. Can you go clean those messes up? And we did take one gentleman was able to finish his case, but then the other one we did take over and worked diligently for longer than we should have to get that cleaned up. So we can start new and move forward, and the old ones can be pending. They just move forward separately. If you want to do that.
Go ahead.
The reason why I was curious, I mean, I know Kevin's in the middle of it, but. If Kevin, I mean, have you ever taken over where somebody is and finished something on out?
We have.
I guess you're our county attorneys, that if you wanna take this.
That wouldn't be my objective, but.
It's actually at a pretty good point if he wanted them to take over.
Oh.
It's already had the title company did backgrounds. I think it's in the process of being upstairs. It's kind of just ready to go, I think.
I was thinking out loud here.
Sure.
What they do, I mean, I
Sure.
didn't do anything like that, and. Cause
that is what we did down in Cherokee County. And I will say it was a challenge. We were able to do it, but it is a challenge to come in midstream and take over someone else's work. We can do it, but it doesn't quite move as efficiently. In Seward County right now, we're just getting ready to go to sale probably in the next couple months in Seward County. The county attorney had one pending. He just kept his case. He kept his case because he was kind of probably right where you guys might be in the current pending case. I always say, let's start fresh with whatever is new and get that one going and get the treasurer and the county used to kind of how we do things. And then once and that kind of cleans up anything that's right now current, ready to go. And then once we get that first case under our belt, we can go back and see about if we need to jump in on a second case. There's another it slips me right now, but there's another, Crawford County's got the same thing pending down in Pittsburgh. They've got a pending case, but they have a lot of new parcels, and we're down there. We've told them, well, let's get the new one started. Let's get everybody used to working with our office, see if you like it. And if you like it, you like the way we do it, you like us, you want to keep us around, then we'll go back and work on your old case.
Well, I would think, if I understand Kevin correctly, we've talked about this. He's happy to hand this duty off to someone else. I didn't think he was wanting to offload his current case because it's in process. But I would think that just the county engaging your services would lend an air of seriousness even to his current pending case. And
Yeah.
maybe its redemption process might actually fire up. Is that a logical assumption, or is that a stretch?
No,
Not at all.
that's true. Yeah. And there are people, and again, just, I think our reputation precedes us in some of these counties. And I don't know about up in your neck of the woods, because the closest I think we have gotten to you guys is Pottawatomie County, Pottawatomie, Washington and Clay. That's kind of where we're at up there. But yeah, I do think it would help, especially when they're going to start seeing our publications coming along in the newspaper too. And it gets people jostled a little bit.
And you'll work with the county attorney.
Absolutely.
You're working with him,
Yeah.
not against him, and you should be able to enhance each other, I would think, or at least help him out, get this thing.
The
What's
Seward
that?
County attorney likes to call me and ask me for my form legal documents. So he loves that I have a whole treasure trove of form documents you need for any situation you could possibly need. Call me, I'll give them to you. So if Kevin needs any of that, he's free to. We are happy to share information and forms. And I think I just sent the Seward County attorney my notice of sale form, and I'm like, yeah, take it all. Take it all. I don't care.
So then to
Betty,
rehash this, so we're in the budget process. But if I understand this, we need to lay aside some money, because there will be some costs in this, but will be reimbursed at the end of the procedure, the process. But essentially, a lot of the properties will be redeemed. Now, there's some cost to that, but if people aren't paying the taxes, we're not getting anything. It's going to cost us a little bit to get some things cleaned up. But other than that, there's really no big risk to the county, because your services come out of the fees. All right. So we're not budgeting for that. We do have to float a little money to carry some things along, but I'm not saying it's at no risk to the county, but it's pretty low risk, and it gets the thing cleaned up. And I think everybody wins. I hope that's what I'm hearing, is everybody wins. We get this thing done, and we get the tax rolls cleaned up. We engage with the treasurer is working with you. You're probably in contact with her more than you would be with us, but we'll be up to date too if we have questions. And I guess I've heard enough that I don't know if we need a motion or if we just need a consensus to move forward with the next step.
I want to ask one thing.
Yeah.
Something you brought up that I want to, he's talked about, once you start your process, sometimes people want to come in and make payments. Do we accept payments if somebody wants it 500 this month, 500 during the process?
We have an escrow program that we use, that if people are delinquent taxes, they can pay that. Once they've been sent notices, you are going to a tax sale, get this caught up, or you are going to a tax sale. Then no, we're not going to take a payment from them after they've been notified, get this caught up or else. Then
I think that's what she was saying, that you recommend people let them make those payments?
well,
Oh,
I was gonna say what we do. If they say, well, I can't pay it all, I want to pay, the 2021 year, we'll take a whole year at a time. Unless you have a different recommendation, I guess the problem in the past is people say, oh, okay, well, let me just make a payment. And so I can get off the tax sale. They make a payment and they're not off the tax sale. So that's what we've said in the past. If you're 3 years delinquent, you're not off the tax sale until you are brought current.
That's, yeah, and that's exactly what some of my treasurers have said, that they hesitate to take partial payments in the pending tax foreclosure while the tax foreclosure action is pending, because people will misunderstand that relieves them of their obligations and they get off the tax sale list. But we say our recommendation, knowing that the best way for the county to recoup the revenue is through the redemption process. Some people just are not they're not disciplined enough. Obviously, we know they're in tax foreclosure to pay their taxes if it's not being put in an escrow account. So we say, okay, if someone wants to come in and pay $100 a week, I have no objection to you taking that, because let's say it takes us more than a year to get the tax foreclosure case done. At least they've $100 a week for 50 weeks. You've collected $5,000 of the delinquent taxes. They are not off the tax sale list until such time as those taxes are paid in full. And they have up until the day before sale to redeem that property by payment of taxes in full. The win for us is that we do get money put towards those taxes that we might not recover if the property is actually sold, because sometimes, you go sell properties for $100. The downside is that you have to deal with your constituent and make sure that they understand that, okay, I appreciate you've been paying $100 a week for 50 weeks, but you still owe another $5,000 on top of that. And so we just tell our treasurers, take the money, but be very clear. Even if you have to print out a slip that goes with them every time someone makes a partial payment that says you are not out of the tax foreclosure proceedings and you are not off the tax sale list until you are paid in full through current delinquent taxes. So that is your choice. Our recommendation is always take the money when you can get the money. Sometimes you do find I would say in my experience, the people that are like, I'm going to try to pay this over the next 3 months. I'm going to get a tax return in February. I want to come and pay that. I'm going to really work hard to pay this off. Sometimes that's the only way they can do it, is to get the money out of their hands. And they really do come through. Then you have the other people who say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a payment every week, who you never see after the first week. And that's fine too. Those aren't the people that are going to call and complain and think they're off the list. And you can send
Yeah,
them
as
to
long
us. As always, you can send them to us.
But the one thing to understand is, although from our perspective and what the law allows is that, yes, you're considering that an escrow account, they don't get that money back. They become a volunteer at that point. So, and that's when people call and ask, can I make a partial payment? And obviously it's up to the treasurer, but we make it very clear that maybe you ought to bank that money yourself, because if you pay half of the taxes, we keep that money. You don't get it back. And so it gets kind of managed on both ends, because years ago, people would walk in and say, hey, I paid $500. I can't get it, the rest of it taken care of. Give me my $500 back. You don't get those $500 back. It goes against and reduces the total tax lien prior to sale.
And I think that was some of it in the past, from my understanding is, yeah, people said, well, I want to set up an escrow, and it somehow the escrow caused a conflict with the attorney's office somehow, and I could be completely misunderstanding it. And so people would set the program up, and then they were coming off the tax sale and then not making any payments. So that's why we switched.
Oh, so they were if they set up an escrow, just setting that up took them off of the tax sale?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that would be problematic.
That was the problem with the escrow. Now, when they get that first notice, say, hey, we're preparing a tax sale, your property is eligible. If they contact us at that time and get an escrow set up, then that's, we do it then. It's just once the tax sale is set, or it's been set to the title company for background, it's at that point, no more can be set into the escrow program itself.
I don't know the details of the escrow programs, because I've never had a county use this before. So I need some clarification, but I will tell you from the statutory standpoint, up until the date that we actually file the lawsuit, they can pay the oldest year that makes it eligible for tax foreclosure and be released from the tax foreclosure. after I file the lawsuit, it's not the date the list gets to me or the list gets the title, it's the date that I actually file the lawsuit. That is the date that you can accept payments, but they do not, by statute, get out of tax sale till all of the taxes, interest, fees, and costs are paid. So regardless of whether they're in an escrow account, again, I don't know what that means necessarily with regard to these proceedings, but regardless of whether they're in your program or not in your program, if they're on my list on the day that I file the lawsuit, they can only get out of by paying everything that's due. Or obviously filing bankruptcy would get them dropped from my lawsuit too, because I'm not allowed to then move forward on it by law. But yeah, so I don't know if that helps clarify at
Yes,
all.
and I may not be stating it very well as far as how our escrow program is.
Or we can talk, I'm happy, we can get on
Yeah,
a
we
call
can
and
talk.
talk about that as we're picking the list and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, one last question. We've had you for an hour and 20 minutes. I appreciate it. I know you're busy.
It's
Okay.
gone so fast.
Well, we love answering or asking questions and getting answers from people who do this stuff for a living. So is there still, if we engage your services, is there still a way for people who don't pay their taxes to game the system and to get out of this? And like, I think I heard you say they pay that 1 year and then they're off.
Yeah, so we have a kind of a little bit of a way we've worked around this because yeah, there is still a little bit of a way for people to gain this, kind of get the system a little bit, but we've tried to close that loophole a little bit, though we can't do it entirely. So as of today, the oldest year that makes them eligible for taxes is 2021 or older. So if they come in tomorrow and they pay 2021, all of a sudden 2021, anything older, all of a sudden the only delinquent taxes they have now are 22, 23, 24. So they're no longer, if it's a residential property, they're no longer eligible. So yeah, people get a notice, an early notice, or what some treasurers call warning statement. They'll come in and pay that oldest year that makes it eligible, but not pay in full to current. So we were having this issue in Sedgwick County, probably up until about 8 or 9 years ago, I think, when we started using this new process. So we filed what we call the skeleton petition. So we try to work with our treasurers as soon as we get hired to get this list and get the properties identified as quickly as possible. But that list will just have the information that the treasurer can give us from the tax roll. So it'll have usually the property owner, and if it's different than the property owner, the person who gets the statements and is responsible for payment. We file an initial lawsuit as soon as we get that list, or within a couple weeks of getting that list, we file that, and that becomes the skeleton petition, what we call the skeleton petition, because it doesn't have all the lien holders and the mortgage companies and the other potentially interested parties on it. So we file that skeleton petition, and as soon as that lawsuit is filed, the taxpayer is locked into paying all of the years of taxes and all of the redemption fees. So that kind of cuts the window down, because we're no longer waiting for title work to come back, because sometimes title work can take 2 or 3 months, sometimes longer. And if we get the list from the treasurer tomorrow and then we send it off to title, we might wait 3 or 4 months. And that gives people a lot of time to come in and pay the oldest year and get dropped from the tax foreclosure proceedings. But what we do, if we get the list tomorrow and within 30 days we have a lawsuit on file, that closes our window down from a potentially 3, 4, 5 month window to lock people into all years, all the way down to just basically a 30-day window to make them pay all years of delinquent taxes. So we called those people frequent flyers in Sedgwick County. And when we started this process, the frequent flyers somehow got really cleaned up, and our parcel lists every year went from about 1,200 delinquent parcels in tax foreclosure down to 600 delinquent parcels in tax foreclosure because we're cleaning up the process. And what would happen, FYI, what would happen is we got that skeleton petition on file, and someone comes in like 30 days after we file and say, hey, I'm here to pay my oldest year. And our treasurer's office would say, oh no, we're already filed. You can't pay your oldest year. And I said, what? I come in every November and I always pay the oldest year and get off. Like, well, we did things a little different. We filed our case early this year. And so now you have to pay all the years. And so that made a few people mad, but those were the people who were trying to use the system. But also it got them off the tax list for the next 3 or 4 years.
My deal is don't send the warning letter. Don't send the notice out before, and that's your own county practice. But if the old fossil here, I say, if you want to close that loop, there's 2 other ways. Don't send out the warning letter. And that then people aren't using the county to finance their property taxes by not paying. And so basically, by that time, it dawns on them that, hey, maybe I better check on this. Well, they're presumed to know that taxes are due. You're already on file, and so they're locked in. The other thing you can consider, and this is something not today, but there is you can, by charter resolution under a home rule, flip the redemption requirements that if you receive a payment, you apply it to the most current year. So that means that you don't let them come in and pay the oldest year and get it out of tax foreclosure. You have the ability to apply that tax payment to the most current year. And that's something that Johnson County got a special statutory provision into the statute relating to redemption period. Then I believe either Wyandotte or Shawnee County got an AG, Attorney General's opinion that said, under home rule, since that's a non-uniform provision, that you can, by charter resolution, adopt that same practice. Now, again, that's something that's down the line that you may or may not want to consider. But if your concern, Mr. Chairman, is to reduce the ability to, eliminate the float, as I call it, you do have the ability to tighten that up.
Okay. All right,
I
well,
believe that's what you've been going through, is they come in, pay that last year, and then they're big.
Well, we had people, like say, getting signed up for the escrow program. And then when the delinquencies go to the county attorney to be set up for tax sale, oh, they're in an escrow program, and then so they wouldn't go on the tax sale. So it was
Okay.
maybe misunderstanding communications. Yeah, or just could kind of, because we do have some people that are several years delinquent, but they are faithfully making a small payment each month. They are working to get it caught up, and that's been taken into consideration. Well, we don't want to throw them on tax sale because they are working at it.
sure,
They're still behind, but they are trying.
sure. And that's what
Betty,
this,
you can adopt this policy to do that to somebody for somebody's homestead, but as to other properties, not, because you have a discretion on how you do that, as long as it's consistently applied to those categories. So you have the ability to take care of those folks that have their homes at risk, as opposed to a landlord that has a portfolio of 3 or 4 properties, and he or she is just kind of using the county to cash flow.
Okay.
yeah, from the outside, I don't want this to be misconstrued as like a strong arm tactic. This is just in this budget environment, and we've got the Horton Headlight is full of delinquent taxes. That's our paper of record,
Mhm.
and we got to get serious about this, and that's why we spent this hour and a half now, talking to you. And again, I appreciate it, but I've had all my questions answered. I'm ready to go forward. I don't know if we need a motion or just by consensus to start the process. But if we need a motion to begin the process to engage the services of Thunder Osterman, I would make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and that process involves you contacting the treasurer, and information is distributed, and then you come back with an engagement letter, and then we roll on. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, Betty, what I'll do is if someone can shoot me your email address, or if you can shoot me your email address, the first thing I'll send you is the information for treasurer email. And it will give you kind of all of the starting information you need to hit the parcel selection. And then you can give me a call whenever it's convenient for you. I'll shoot you my cell phone number, and we can just kind of talk through the front end of the process, and we'll go from there.
Okay, that sounds great.
I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
She said jump. I remember you saying jump.
Yeah,
She said
I'm
jump,
for
so-
them. I've
It's been-
heard other counties talk about them, and yeah.
It's been moved and seconded then. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried. All right, thanks.
Hey, can I ask one more question, Betty? I misunderstood, and I just, for our purposes, is Kevin filed that action? Has Kevin
Yeah,
started service of process? Where do
Yeah.
you think you are exactly, the best that you can tell us today?
I think he has filed. It's kind of a matter of finding the time to do the sale.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
if he wants to if you might want to pass our information on to him, if he wants to reach out, if there's anything that we can do to assist, we are more than happy to lend our information, lend our thoughts.
Okay.
This is great. Thanks.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks,
luck.
you too. Bye.
That feels like progress. I like it. Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Richard Tesserero here. We're gonna speak with him, but I would ask, could we take a 5-minute recess? Okay, so yes, we'll recess for 5 minutes. Yeah. We're just in recess for 5 minutes. I make a motion to recess for 5 minutes. I'll second. Okay, moving second, all in favor, say aye. 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 Aye, okay, we'll come back 11:05.
Thought maybe the window was open.
She's kind of commercial. Model, you don't know, you probably know what you did. That's from when I was a kid. And say a lot of words.
Yeah, I have known some people that talk so fast you can't, well, some ads on it. They talk so fast you don't have time to think in between.
So I say, slow down, my brain can't keep up.
Right.
Did he?
Has
Yeah.
since been overtaken by a Chicago
Oh, okay. Records are made to be broken.
by the name of Twisted.
Oh, man, I don't want to play you in Trivial Pursuit, do I? It's cold in here.
You got a jacket on.
I know. I wore layers today.
Good luck. Have a look. Didn't get it through my email. That's what I said to BJ. Oh. Okay, it's 11:05. We can come out of recess and start the regular business meeting again. So our agenda item, basically one thing we have left is item number 6, which is budgets. And Richard, if you'd like, I asked you to come in, talk to you before about Road and Bridge, and we're here to ask you some more questions and kind of hear more of your thoughts. And thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Okay. So, I guess you want me to start?
Sure.
I guess we've been struggling. I'll say this for me. I've been struggling with Road and Bridge about structure, the districts, the really what I consider to be kind of a breakdown in communication between, our job here to administer, to be administrators, I guess, managers, and what goes on in the field. I mean, I think they do fine, but I don't know what they're doing. And I'm looking for a way to clean that up, to be better with our dollars, to be, I guess, to provide some sort of mechanism we can get them what they need where they need it. But if we don't know, then, it's hard to kind of connect all the dots is what I'm trying to say. So I asked you, Lynn, because you got some expertise in workforce, big labor, construction projects, so on and so forth. And I think he has some ideas. And, I mean, that's about as good as I can tee it up for you, but have you had any more thoughts or ideas or what's going on?
Am I correct in saying that Road and Bridge is the largest line item for the county? When you look at your budget?
$4 million. I think it is the single largest line item.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, anytime you go in and you start reviewing a system, people take it as you're saying that they're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
That's not what you're doing. You're not assuming that people are doing things wrong out there. The problem is, as managers, and you three are managers, that we voted to make you the managers. You have to have a clear idea of how processes are done. Are they efficient? And maybe they can be more efficient. One of the best things is when we would go in and we would review projects that were usually when you have a project that is starting to show signs that there could be profit loss, you start looking at schedules, you start looking at cost overruns, you start looking at labor overruns. It's the same thing, whether it's a bid project or the county has certain costs that reoccur every year. They have people that do the labor that are the same employees doing it every year. They have equipment that works every year. It's the same thing, even though you guys haven't bid a project. What we were doing was we were working on bid projects where we said, with our expertise, we can bid this project, we can perform it for this amount of money, we can do it in this amount of time with this amount of labor and equipment. And we're human and we make mistakes. And so you get projects that start showing signs that there are problems. And that what you and I have discussed, it's no different from what we used to do versus what you guys want to do in the future. And that's be able to take a look at your largest cost every year, the taxpayer's largest cost, and just determine, are we doing it the best way? Could we save money? Are there different things we could be doing? And again, that's not, you guys aren't going in there and saying, we don't like what you're doing, we think you guys are doing it wrong. That's not it. It's just that you don't know. I mean, if I was to ask you right now, what is the process for repairing, determining what roads get repaired first? You guys probably don't know. That doesn't mean that you've failed. It's just you're coming into this. Basically, you were elected. Some people have been here a little bit longer, and that's not typically what you know until you start asking questions and you start reviewing and you start managing, doing what we voted for. You guys manage what's going on. So when you ask me before, how do you do that? Well, you start gathering information from the people that are doing it. Simple questions, what does our equipment look like? What kind of equipment do we own? What kind of shape is our equipment in? How many employees are currently working for Road and Bridge? What are their positions? Again, in my experience, where we saw the biggest return to become more efficient was when we stopped acting as individual units. I ran a company that had offices all across California. And they ran autonomously. They didn't talk to the other divisions. Some of them were even next to each other in counties, and they didn't talk, they didn't share equipment, they didn't share material. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's just not, I mean, if you were running a family farm and, your brother was farming over here and you're farming right here, and you had a problem one day, but you couldn't talk to him or get help from him, that's not an efficient way to run a family farm. So it's just starting the process of understanding what you guys do, what we do as a county, and trying to figure out, are we doing the most efficient way? It's really, when you step back and look at it, I mean, it's mostly common sense. Again, people take it as, if you were to walk around in this building right now and just ask people, hey, how are you doing today? What is it you do? As soon as you walk out that door, there are going to be some people going, why are they asking what we do? Right? You're a manager. You're supposed to be able to do that. But human nature is they view it as something's wrong, and it doesn't have to be wrong. It has. If I asked you right now, is the county growing? Meaning, is the population of Brown County growing? I believe the answer would be no. It's not. Is that correct? Okay. So let me ask you. In 2025, the largest line item we have is to go out and probably chip and seal. Okay. And if you had to buy 1,000 yards of aggregate, I don't even know what they buy. Well, let's just say you had to buy it in 2025 and pay for it and pass that cost along to the taxpayers. What do you think it's going to be 5 years from now? More. I would, if I was a voting or betting man, I would say, I guarantee it's going to be more. Okay. In 5 years from now, are we going to have more people moving to Brown County or less? We don't know. But the trend is it's probably going to be kind of, I would say, kind of flatline, right?
Yeah.
I don't see, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not picking on Brown County. It's just, I don't see Toyota coming here to build a plant in the next 5 years. Maybe they will. I don't know. But those are the kind of things that bring more money into a county. So when you're looking ahead and you're saying, our costs are going to continue to go up, we're not going to have more people to bring revenue in. That's a scary scenario, because that means that you probably have to continue to raise taxes in a county that already has to raise taxes. And nobody wants that. So you have to make the hard decisions. You have to take a look at how you're doing things, and you have to become more efficient, more lean, usually. And that message needs to get out to your constituents that, hey, we're not here to raise your taxes. We're not here to decrease your services. We're not trying to make this a place that is less fit to live in. We're just trying to maintain what we have. As costs go up, labor goes up. I guarantee one thing, the people performing the work will be making more money 5 years from now than they're making today. That's just, whether it's cost of living raises, it's just how it is. So as a manager, we had to look at all those things. What is the trend? And we did a 3, a 5, and a 7-year outlook all the time. And if things were in certain counties, were trending like, boy, population growth is out of control here in Orange County, and you're doing $100 million a year in Orange County, then the outlook is good. There's going to be more revenue. There's going to be more roads built, more buildings built, the stuff that we do, electrical. You're going, that's a good trend. But if you get into the outlier counties where people were moving away, and the outlook was, well, it doesn't look like there's going to be much population growth. It doesn't look like there's going to be many new companies coming in. Those were the counties that you'd look at and go, okay, well, the trend is we're probably not going to have much growth there. We're probably not going to have a lot of business there. So you tend to move your people into the areas that are. Brown County is not unique. I mean, it has the same problems that all counties surrounding us have. This isn't unique to Brown County. what is unique is how you guys deal with it. You know, you guys are dealing with it. Thankfully, it sounds like you're dealing with it with delinquent taxes. I mean, that's a wonderful thing from my opinion, because you can't continue down the road that it was. I mean, something hit a wall where you three managers looked and said, we need to do something different, and that's good. And the people should appreciate it.
So then are we in, as far as road and bridge, are we in the protect what we have mode? Are we in, continue to build, continue to improve? Are we in like preservation? So I look at that line item. Okay, so, and it's just for reference. Road and bridge is fairly steady. I mean, it continues to increase. But now if I look at the math, it seems like our employee benefit side is coming up and it's gonna, eventually they might intersect if we're not careful.
Sure.
Or careful.
Yeah.
And so in this environment, I mean, I'm looking, what are you gonna do? Because everybody that sits on county chip and seal road wants that to be.
Sure.
County chip and seal road.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful.
But the bottom line is, you can only afford to do what you can afford to do. And sometimes, I would look at it as, if I am in a year where I'm raising everybody's taxes, that's not the year that we're not cutting back somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Because I would look, if somebody walked up to me on the street and I was a commissioner and they were chewing me out for raising their taxes, I'd look at it and say, look, yeah, of course.
Well, they don't.
I would say
Really,
we're doing the right thing. We're doing what we have to do to maintain what we have, but we're also being very efficient.
Sure.
And you're never going to make everybody happy, that, but you have to do the right thing. And the right thing is making sure. You might be pleasantly surprised. You might do an audit and start looking at how things are done and go, wow, I'm really happy with the way things are being done. That's a wonderful thing to find out. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong.
Well, in the beginning, I said, and I still stand by this, I struggle so much, and it's not because they don't answer the phone. It's because we don't really have a system here. I know you and your road foreman, I mean, you're talking all the time because you tell us you're talking all the time. I think it's cool. Mine's set up the same way, but it's just not as, it's not as fluid.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to communicate with him the best he knows how.
Yeah.
And so that we're getting the best work done here. But I'm just some guy in a suit and tie. I'm not a road and bridge dude. That's not what I do for a living, but I know heavy equipment. I know things like that. And I know math and dollars and cents. I'm looking for some way to do Brown County. And again, efficient's the word, but I think instead of having three different commissioners that answer to three different road foremen who answer to, I guess really the commission as a whole. If we're going to take any action, typically it's all of us.
Yeah.
And then we get some personalities involved and it gets a little weird. I'm looking for a direct link between our road and bridge guys, crew, and this board. And that, to me, that's a road and bridge supervisor for the county, for the whole county.
Yeah.
The district thing. And then let's do it by the county. I'm going to assume that a road and bridge supervisor is not going to play favoritism with certain areas of the county. And we're going to address areas.
The first thing that you have to make clear is, again, if you were to go down to Horton and you were to ask an individual, what do you do? They're probably going to say, I work for you. That's District 3, I believe.
Two.
Okay. Sorry.
You're right.
They're probably going to say, I work for Brown County District 2. And then if you go out to Fairview and you come here, you're going to get these individual answers. And the first thing I would say is, yeah, no, we want you to work for Brown County. We're not trying to take anything away from you. We want to work as a team, a cohesive team. And again, why do we want to work as a cohesive team? Because costs keep rising. We're not bringing in more people as far as to pay taxes. And we want to have a nice county to live in. Again, one of the best exercises you guys could do as a commission is to go talk to some of the people that do this for profit. You go talk to a Herzog and you just say, hey, I just want to pick your brain. You take your supervisor with you and say, so what is new out there? What was fascinating for me was living in a state that was so large and had so many different counties. It's just, we were electrical contractors, right? I thought I spent 35 years doing electrical contracting. I thought I was pretty much up on how you do electrical contracting. was always fascinating to go to a different part of the state and see how they did the same thing we were doing.
Sure.
It's fascinating because you just get into that thing where you think we're doing it the best way. And that's not necessarily true. Sometimes it is, but there's always room for improvement because the way you're doing your chip and seal today may be completely different 5 years from now. But you want to make sure that you're keeping up on the right processes. And, you know, if there's a better aggregate or there's a better way to do this. And a lot of times that's talking to the people that are doing
So
it.
companies like that,
Mhm.
how do you make an appointment with a Herzog?
Real simple. I mean,
I mean, for the most part, our chip and seal is the same as what they're doing there because, you know, like recently their equipment broke down, they wanted to borrow ours, I guess they said no to letting them use any of our equipment because they were down a piece of equipment to finish some highways.
Mhm.
Was that Herzog or was that somebody?
One of them, yeah,
Okay.
I can't remember which one, but I mean, the
So I don't-
process is the same, I mean, we've rented equipment from them.
Mhm.
Or it's usually in better shape than a lot
So-
of those work time, but.
So you think it can be, done? I mean, you can call Herzog, you just ask, just,
When I got involved with the traffic signal
yeah,
and you know, I'm used to seeing signals built a certain way.
Mhm.
So drive around, where did they put the latest signals in? Well, if you drive down 36 highway, Seneca and Marysville put some signals in the last couple of years. Not too hard to figure out. Well, they just did it on a highway in Kansas, working with KDOT, working with them all. I pick up the phone, got a hold of the Public Works Department, and told them what I was looking for. Next thing I'm talking to the electrical department. Both of those towns were like, sure, come on down. They're public bids, so it's not like it's a secret. You can go down, they'll show you their blueprints and their specs, and they'll show you the cost.
Sure.
Because it was taxpayers' money, they have to. Those two towns were more than willing to say, yeah, absolutely, we'll tell you. And both of them said, this is the contractor we used. Next thing you know, I'm talking to Southern States Contracting. Next thing you know, I've got the owner calling me back and we're talking for over an hour about signals in Kansas.
sure, it happens. You're right.
You know, it's, you just have to want to do a little bit of investigation. And again, sometimes the most wonderful thing is you find out that you're doing it the best or doing it the right way, or your equipment, like you said, is better condition than theirs.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to save money, and that is to be more efficient at what you do. More efficient doesn't mean less bodies necessarily. Doesn't mean that. If you're doing it with 4 guys, maybe more efficient means a different piece of equipment, or just a different means and methods, or a different way to deliver the rock, you know, to your side. It's looking at how you do something and trying to make sure you're doing it as, you know, as efficient as possible. And I worry about these small communities because you don't have the population growth to spur the extra revenue. Right? That's a wonderful, why did I retire and move back to a town of 3,000 people? Because I don't want to live in a town of millions of people, right? But unfortunately, some of these smaller towns have their own set of problems. And a lot of, you know, if you look at a percentage based off of what the taxes for property tax in Hiawatha versus what I was paying, the percentage is higher here. But the difference is the house is worth a tenth. So they pay lower percentages out there, but they're charging it on a house that's worth 10 times more. Right. So I remember when I first moved back, it was like, wow, that seems like a high rate. And then you sit down and you go, but there's only so many people here, so it makes sense. Right.
Talking about the other day, he says, this, he bought his house for one price, but now it's valued at 2 or 3 times that. Makes.
We are spreading a greater burden over less people.
Right.
And what happens is, I mean, when we take our total tax ask through the county, you know, it's like 9,200 people total in this county. And I don't know how many of those are actual taxpayers.
Right,
That's
it's 92,
unlimited,
exactly. Sure.
And anyway, there just is enough people left to pull the wagon, essentially. We're asking too much.
Sure.
Like you said, this tax.
And sometimes it's all right just to tell people honestly, it's wonderful to have all the county roads chip and seal. But there are some counties in the United States that don't have all their county roads chip and seal because they can't afford it.
Well, we gotta remember, we're a township unit too, so we have a whole bunch of gravel roads. But, we go back to gravel roads. And that's just, there's gonna probably take more employees.
Yeah, I'm not advocating you go back to
Yeah,
gravel
I'm
roads.
just saying.
I'm just saying that sometimes, you know, right now, I believe the rotation is about every 3 years a road gets chip and sealed.
Yeah.
You know, when you are struggling for your budget, that might go to every 4 years, every road is chip and sealed. And you're gonna have people, going,
Yes.
oh, you can't do that. Well, of course we can. If there's no money to do it every year, that's what you do. Or you start actively pursuing the roads that are used the most, right?
That's what we've done, our district is we're identifying the ones that do not have the most traffic and we're knocking them out.
Right.
We have one road that we've been doing every year, the simple fact that it has so much traffic on it, if we skip it a year, it's base.
Sure.
Deteriorate, and so we've done it every year, but this year we skipped it to save some dollars, with the one we've been doing every year, we're hoping to don't buy this next year.
Yeah.
Then we got 9 miles and we want to skip possibly next year on a road that we want to save money back so we can overlay it because it's just got so rough, but it's got a good base, but it needs to be
Sure.
inch and then let it to level it and then 2 inches on top of it to make it back into a good road.
What's interesting too is you'd work in different counties out there and you'd see a road get tore up. And then they would redo it and we'd be on maybe we're building the building and they're doing a new road. So you'd watch what's going on and they'd be using some sort of process you'd never seen, right? Like a different amount of base rock underneath, 2 layers, 1 layer of cement and then an overlay with asphalt. And you go, why are they doing that? And usually the engineers would come back and say, well, they've determined that this road in the last year has seen, 4 million more people go down the road. And so they have to come up with a different method. Plus the approach speeds picked up, as they widen that road, it goes from 45 to 55 and those approach speeds mean everything on it. So you'd watch how they would try to compensate for more and more people going down the roads. Well, back here, we have more and more semis going down the road, right? And in the old days, if you went back 15 years ago and talked to the commissioners, you guys have a whole set of different problems with your roads than they did because there wasn't near as many semi trucks. Semi trucks are wonderful. I'm just saying it's a fact.
It's just
we've got more semi trucks going down the road. Our roads will last less amount of time.
The volume of bushels we are hauling out of Brown County. Even in my short little 20-year farming career, we were raising 140, 50 bushel corn when I started.
Yeah.
And now it's, it's 200, 220 and just do the math and that's just weight and all that weight goes right down the road.
Well, think about what did this rain just do? It increased the amount of bushels that will be hauled out of Brown County, right?
Yeah, we like that.
Seriously.
Very good. Yeah.
So it's, again, there are going to be people thinking that, oh, you guys are, you have nefarious reasons for doing this. You think that they're not doing their job. You got to stop that.
Sure.
And you got to have the conversation with these people saying, we're not against you guys.
No.
We want to work as a team and we want to be the county that people look at and go, wow, they're doing a pretty good job over in Brown County. They're looking at processes, they're changing their means and methods. And again, working as a team, you work as a team, you will be more efficient.
I know that the way we've done it for 10 years, that's one of the things, I was running on that when I came in 7 years ago about getting to all of us working under one umbrella, one person. It's more of a fact that because that one person will know what everybody's doing. And we undoubtedly during the oil season, during the winter, we can't have our foremen coming in all the time to give us updates because
They're busy. Sure.
This guy, even though we got 3, 3, and 3, this guy cannot be the guy that goes out and drives a dump truck every
Right.
week. Or
No,
takes out and
absolutely.
cleans the road. He's gonna have to know.
Totally inefficient.
But these guys will be able to stay on what they're doing.
Sure.
But we're still gonna have to be somebody that kind of.
And unfortunately, it has to be the right guy because that position, he cannot hold, I live in this township or, I want this area. That can't be. It has to be a guy that looks at it and says, I'm doing this for Brown County.
But I also know that the way we're set up, that
there's not a lot of, like a backhoe here and a backhoe here. Sharing these is not gonna be the easiest because unfortunately in our areas, we all have tubes that come up, we have to replace it over here, so. You know, we got one excavator we share and we full teeth, who's gonna use it next for the big projects. You know,
That also makes it a lot easier when you have one guy, because now you don't have three people that are. That have,
He's gonna say this one's using it this week,
yeah,
he's gonna plan it.
right, and that's a huge part of this is doing those look aheads.
Plus,
and
you
reviewing.
would put the right amount of people on a bigger project.
Yeah.
Instead of scattering, let's come together, let's knock this thing out, instead of we take them all for the actual hit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to take a phone call, that's fine. What can we, okay, you've been here, you've talked, I've enjoyed it, what can we do, what do we do next? I mean, I feel a little under-equipped to make a lot of decisions like this, that's why we ask for people with expertise, just like we did with the taxing.
So I would create a list of all your employees and what they're doing, where they're working.
Yeah.
And then, once you have that, start reviewing it. Start taking a look at. You know. And I would also, at the same time, create that equipment list. So there's a
Equipment list we
really,
have.
a really good understanding of what the county owns and where it's at. And part of that too is, creating some sort of a thing that makes it very rudimentary, very easy, but evaluating that equipment. Is it not very roadworthy? Is it not very reliable? Or is it, you know, so you keep it simple,
Sure.
and you have the people that are running it give you, you know, 1 through 3, with 1 being the best, 3 being the worst. And then once you have your equipment and your manpower list, you start reviewing that first.
Right. Put you on the spot, do you have a willingness to help?
That's why I'm here.
Okay, well, I
Do you know why?
why?
So I don't want my taxes to keep going up each year.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so,
So,
As long as I'm,
Go ahead.
sorry, this is outside, but why do we look at what needs to be done, then try to figure our taxes? You know, when I have something, I know how much money I'm gonna expect to have, and I try to get done with what I have. That seems like the county, the government kind of does it the opposite way.
governments always do that. If you're running a household budget, you spend less than you make, and governments have a tendency. Again, this is generalization, but I've been around a lot of them. They seem to spend more than they bring in, and then with the stopgap always being, well, we can raise taxes. Right? So,
well, that's the boat we're in right now, again.
and that's why it's very important to vote people in that are fiscally responsible and say, we're not gonna, I mean. I live in a city where the last 3 years, there was a vote to raise taxes.
I look at the situation, Brown County's in Road and Bridge, you know. They are the biggest spend, but they're not the biggest by much, really, and for what we're doing with Road and Bridge, that's actually, that's material.
Sure.
You know, that's infrastructure.
But you start with the biggest.
Sure.
And then as soon as you've done that, then you go to the next biggest.
So when you look at.
Because
Road and
this is
Bridge,
a line item by line item.
we budgeted 1.3 million for oil next year, 1.3 million. That's a big number, and we can make some changes there, but we're gonna have to look at it completely differently. But so what you're talking about taxes. How does Brown County, how do we do this? I mean, I was a disciple of, you know, no tab, whatever, just keep it down, and I'm still that way. But I also understand now, and you know, you go to the buffet, it's $23 now. It just costs more money to do this. Everything we touch costs more money.
Sure.
So the expectations of keeping taxes or getting taxes to go down, the way I just don't see how we do it. Honestly, don't.
I can't tell you if they ever go back down, but I can tell you if you keep them from going up as, you know, too much, you're doing your job.
Right. You've got to keep things in line.
You got to keep things in
Yeah.
line. Yeah. And sometimes when you take a look at where you're at, I mean, the situation that you guys have this year on your budget, it didn't just happen this year. If I tore apart your budget, I'll bet you I could go back 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and there were items that were glaring, like, hey, this is going up, this is going up, this is, you know, and I bet you that there wasn't a lot of emphasis on, hey, how do we keep that from getting out of control? It's a kick the can down the road now. And unfortunately, you guys, the can got kicked so far that all of a sudden
It's
you
done.
can't kick it again,
Yeah.
right? And so the very worst thing you can do is bury your head in the sand. Because you just said it, costs are going up, labor's going up. 5 years from now in Brown County, which will go by pretty quick, you guys are gonna have to spend a lot more money.
Be at
than
the
you do
same
right
spot
now.
next year. I
Yeah,
mean, next year,
exactly.
nobody's gonna ask for a pay decrease.
Right,
And nobody's
so-
material costs are gonna go up.
It's, again, it's common sense.
Yeah.
It's like, we have to do
Okay.
things a little different.
Are you prepared to be involved in this at any sort of level? I mean, as far as,
Look, I'm prepared to say, okay. I'm not elected. I'm not asking for a position where I have authority to do this, or that. I'm just giving you some recommendations. You guys could turn around and go, I don't like his recommendations, and the next week, I'm not around. That's fine. But I think there are, just like going and talking with the senior project manager at Herzog, there is information that you could garner from that that's going to help you guys run more efficiently. I guarantee it, because they're doing it for profit. They have to be lean, right? The stuff I'm offering up is not a secret. It's how most corporations make their managers run. They give them certain guidelines and say, go do this. And those guidelines are always about trying to streamline or trying to come up with a more efficient way to do it. I worked for a huge corporation and I had to, it wasn't like I could just do anything I wanted. They said, this is what we want. When I sat in front of the board every quarter and I did my 3, 5, and 7 year projection, I better be on target, or you're not going to be doing those 3, 5, 7 year projections. The next year will be somebody else.
I had asked, we just talked about cost going up, budgeting things. Similar to what when you left, but I just asked him what he would be willing to do, for us to kind of help us through this. As far as like an advisory role. And so you're familiar with the corporate world. I mean, I'm a farmer, you're a minister. Bill, you're retired. I don't even remember what you did, but were you in the corporate world? No. Okay, so that's out of I can sort of do what you do and call numbers and stuff, but it's kind of out of my comfort zone as far as the upper level management stuff. So I'd like to be able to give you some, again, you wouldn't have necessarily like the authority to do this and do that.
No, I'm not looking for that at all. I'm
But
just
I'd like
looking at saying this is what's worked for some big companies in the past on some big projects. And I think it is, again, it's all common sense.
I'd
I'm
like
not
to
telling
use
you
you in
anything
some
like,
sort
well,
of-
you're really smart and we never thought of that. You guys know this stuff.
I'd like to use you in some sort of advisory capacity, use your skills, your services. Like if we could get a meeting with hers,
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind having you come along to maybe ask some of the
Sure.
questions that we wouldn't ask.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having you, I'd like to go with you and just look at some of this equipment. Have you talk to the crews and just kind of see where we're at. That's where I see it.
And
Go ahead.
another part of that whole process is listening to your people in the field. They're the ones doing it.
Sure.
Asking them, say, hey, guys, what is your recommendation? If all of a sudden you owned Brown County and you were the manager and you saw how things were being done, what would you do different? Get their opinions. They're out there every day. And that's what the whole thing, it's brainstorming. It's let's figure out. The residents have voted you guys in and said, we trust you to be managers. You're managing.
Mine. What I typically, when you say manager, I'm pretty good at farming. I'm pretty good on things I'm good at. I know I'm pretty good at. Things I'm not good at, I usually answer. That's what I do. And that's kind of what I feel I'm doing with you is.
And the thing about farming is, I retired and I do a little bit of farming. I'm not a real farmer, but I do a little bit. To me, it's one of the hardest businesses to run because you are not in control of so many things. You're not in control of the weather. You're not in control of input costs.
Sure.
You're not in control of what you're going to get paid. When I was running a business, I was in control of much, much more than I am as farming. I knew what my budget was. I knew what my labor cost me. I knew what my equipment cost me. I was in control of bidding a job and saying I will do it for X amount of dollars. I'm in control of that. Farming is much harder. So I look at farmers as, they're amazing because they have to, if they're gonna be successful and continue to farm, they have to do what you guys need to do at the county, and that is look at how you're doing it.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
When I look at my foreman, the reason why I know what's going on, that's 20 years, I was quality control manager, service manager, and that's all I was in charge of people, so I always knew what was going